for a tie. Isn't that right, Andrew? Uh, what? Come on. What was your team doing?
I
Answer
hate
for
it.
your
I
Packers.
hate every bit of it. I hate every bit of it. Look, I've actually over time started to get a little bit more into soccer, and I'm still trying to figure out how to like ties in that sport. We're not going to get into ties in this sport. This sport is not a tie sport. So, no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not waking up this morning saying at least we tied the game. I'm not happy. I'm not happy whatsoever.
This is not a tie sport. I couldn't agree more. I was watching, completely baffled that they weren't hustling more for the touchdown. So, all right, we're going to break down the Bengals and Broncos first, and then we're going to break down the Jets at the Dolphins. We're going to do a same game parlay in the Bengals and Broncos, and then we're going to do a look ahead to next week. So let's start here, Andrew, Bengals and Broncos. We're going to go to the passing props here in this game, and I'll just go to the first one. Jake Browning will throw an interception. It's juicy. It should be. He's played 2 games. He's thrown 5 already. And listen, he's Jake Browning. He's going to be chucking it all over the field. The rushing game is non-existent. Even if they try to commit to it, I'm not sure a whole lot can happen. We'll get to Chase Brown and the rushing props, but Jake Browning to throw an interception. I mean, I think this just has to be an auto play until the line gets too out of whack. What else do you like passing props in this one?
Yeah, I mean, can we just go with both quarterbacks to throw an interception? We've seen a couple interceptions on the other side as well. I mean, this defense hasn't been good overall, that secondary he's facing, but I also feel like that's going to ignite some confidence. Give this guy some confidence. And I keep on saying this. Whenever I watch Bronco games, they seem to make Bo Nix want to be something he's not. At least I haven't seen it yet so far. They do air it out. They do go for the deep ball quite a bit. We've seen a handful thrown so far this season, and the odds are pretty good. Like it's about -110 both sides here. So I like that with some of these interception ones here. I like the Browning under 1.5 passing touchdowns here, Andy. Now that price itself is not very, likable. It's near -200, I believe. But I think that, looking at what we've seen from the Broncos, red zone defense, not allowing a lot of passing touchdowns, what we've seen from Browning in the red zone, that could be a parlay piece. That could be something for our same game parlay, something I'm interested in taking a look at. And I do think overall the attempts are going to be down for Browning today. They're going to try and run the ball. They're going to try and establish the run. If they can't, he's going to feel pressure, and it's not going to go too well for him. So Denver's defense should cause some issues here, but overall, it sounds like you and I are expecting some interceptions from both quarterbacks here.
I'm looking hard at this Bo Nix over 21.5 completions as well. It's a nice spot because he only had 14 last week, but he had 22 and 25 the first 2 weeks. And here's the thing, Bo Nix almost bottom of the league here on yards per pass thrown, only at 5.6. He's just not throwing for a ton of yards. They're not connecting on those deep balls. It's like just barely out of reach. I like they're so close that I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. But those long passes just haven't really been connecting. And when I get only 5.6 yards per pass thrown, that means there's a lot of short stuff. So I would look for his completions, not necessarily his attempts here. So let's go to receiving props in this one. A lot of big names here. Tough start for some big name wide receivers in fantasy and props. Malik Neighbors is out. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have been rough. Justin Jefferson finally gets off the schneid here. We got some big names in this game. What are some receiving props you're looking at?
Yeah, I've told you that I usually like the secondary, third options, down the road a little bit, but sometimes it's okay to go with some of the more top dogs. And I think in this one, Courtland Sutton's a guy that I'm looking at. Bengals ranked 27th in explosive pass plays allowed, meaning 20-plus yards allowed. He's topped this number in 3 games this season. So I'm looking at the over here, and I think that Nix is finding him. He's a guy that I want, and I think he'll be able to get there. I think that when you look at the defense overall, I think that we're going to have to see the Bengals kind of go up the middle. So I would be looking at some more kind of short passes or some short targets, maybe look at the tight end position. But when I'm looking at some of these Bronco receivers, Andy, I think that I kind of want to stay away for the most part. Again, like I said, I don't really trust Nix right now throwing the deep ball. So if I'm looking around, maybe some checkdowns to running backs, maybe kind of some shorter passes, I feel like this game's going to be a bit more simplified. When it comes to Browning, though, and the guys he's going to go to, I think that for them, they're not going to try and be it simple. Like, it seems like for Browning, they almost like want him to be – they want him to be the replacement. They don't want to change the game for him. So maybe I would look towards some overs for longest completion for some of these receivers, because I feel like they're letting him loose a little bit. Do you feel like they're being careful with him at all? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems like they're letting him kind of throw the ball pretty deep and being loose on him. So maybe we do have some value on some of these guys.
Well, they kind of have to. I mean, if you have Jake Browning as your quarterback and you're just trying to dink and dunk, that offense is extremely easy to figure out, especially when their offensive line can't block to get Chase Brown going. So you kind of have to. And also, what are you going to do with the T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? Like, have them run really short routes? That's you're taking away some of your best weapons there. So I think they have to run kind of the same offense that they did when Burrow was quarterback. Like, you can't completely change with some of the skill position players, especially when you paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You just got to let them go. And, this is why there's another reason why I love these interception props on him. It should be minus 300 for him to throw an interception. He's going to be throwing it into double coverage and throwing it deep and missing his receivers. But the aggression is going to have to be there. If you sit back and play it safe, you're just going to get your teeth kicked in. There's a prop here that's minus 187. I think it's a bargain. Iosivas, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Andre Iosivas for Bengals, under 1.5 reception. He has one catch this year. In 3 games, he has one. The unders hit total for the season in all 3 games. So I'm not really sure where the number 1.5 comes from, but I would certainly be looking at that. But to your point here, longest completion, Jamar Chase is only 23.5. That seems low to me. T. Higgins, 20.5. That seems a little bit low to me. So I think you're getting some pretty good numbers there. They're going to be throwing it deep. It's just a matter of, can they make those connections? So I think you're on the. I like that look there on Chase at 23.5 and Higgins over his longest one. Even Mike Gesicki,
and what I mentioned there about the explosive plays that the Bengals give up, if that's the case, then the Bengals are going to have to respond. They're going to have, if they're going to give up big plays, they're going to give up points. This isn't going to be a snooze fest by any means. And I think if it is a snooze fest, it just means that Denver's defense dominated.
Okay. Well, let's move to rushing props. And I mentioned Chase Brown. This number baffles me at 54.5 on Chase Brown. I don't get it. He's averaging 2 yards per carry. He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. He's not making guys miss. I mean, some of the metrics are just really, truly awful. His volume is going down. He had 21 carries, then 16, then 10. I don't know where this number came from. I was stunned it was over 50. I'm certainly not taking the over, but then maybe the Bengals come out and say, hey, if we don't get the running game going, we're dead in the water, so we're going to do whatever it takes this week to fix our running game and fix our offensive line. I just don't. I don't see it with Chase Brown. And I have Chase Brown on one of my fantasy teams, it's probably the worst fantasy team I've ever had in my 25 years of playing. I have Brian Thomas and Chase Brown, so I've been watching those disasters, and I'm going, what's fixable about this? So, Andrew, I don't understand the 54.5. It's an easy under for me on that one.
Not a fan there. All right, well,
we'll go head to head.
It's always funny. Like, sometimes me and you will talk after the show with this and be like, well, coming into this one, I was the complete other way. Well, for me, I like the over in that one, and I think that, again, the reason being is that although I said they're going to kind of let loose a little bit, establishing the run will be huge for them. So that's kind of why I think it'll be huge. They have to establish the run. They're going to hand off the ball quite a bit. If they don't, they're not going to be able to open up the passing game a little bit. Got to be able to control the clock a little bit, and I feel like that should help them. But one thing that does worry me about him, and I kind of mentioned it in the last section, that if they do kind of use him as a pass catcher, then it's 1 point for Andy Lang, because if they're using him mostly just as a pass catcher, then they're probably not going to be running him too much into the ground. So I'll tell you what, I think that we're going to see some Bo Nix running. And this is a guy that over time has started to sacrifice his body a little bit more. We've seen some run plays. We've seen the offensive line has been pretty solid for the Broncos. Can't really say the same thing for the Bengals. And I used to look at a solid offensive line or a bad offensive line making a quarterback have to scramble and run, which is something I still look at a little bit. But when you're sitting in the pocket and you have so much time to analyze, a lot of times there's just so much covering taking place where you can just say, all right, I'm leaving the pocket. And with his numbers, they're never that big. I think we could see his rushing prop go over. And when you look at the list of quarterbacks, like if I asked you like your top favorite running quarterbacks, you're probably not saying either of these two guys. So I think it could be kind of an underrated play there on Bo.
I'm with you. I have over 5.5 rush attempts, so I think you and I are kind of on the same page here with this one. 2 out of 3 games, not only has he gone over 5.5, he's had 8 rush attempts in those 2 games. And don't forget, kneel downs count. That's always the hidden factor with these quarterbacks and the rush attempts is halftime, it could kneel. End of game, if they're up, which they're favored, you could get some kneels in this one. So I'm with you on the Bo Nix doing something with him to run tonight. So, yeah, absolutely 100% with you on that one. Let's take a look at some anytime touchdown props. It's chalky. It's obvious. You guys don't tune in for me to tell you to take the favorite to score a touchdown, but it's J.K. Dobbins at minus 130. The Bengals give up a rushing touchdown per game to running backs. That's just what they do. So I don't really have a strong feeling on any other one. I guess the funny one is I was looking at the Broncos defensive touchdown. We talked about this with J.J. McCarthy about throwing a lazy pass that gets taken back to the house. I could see Browning throwing an interception and Broncos taking it plus 550. Any touchdown props you like?
I'm going to throw just one because I love the value here. RJ Harvey at plus 300. You get a second string guy in there in the goal line. Maybe he's the guy that punches it in. Plus 300, not too bad.
Okay. All right. It's Monday Night Football, Andrew. I will tell you right now, I only have one official client play that is up, but coming off a really nice 2-0 Sunday night. So I'm not undefeated on Monday Night Football anymore. I lost my play last week, so we're 2-1 on Monday Night Football. One best bet that is up. I think it just screams play me. So that's going to be our only play that we have tonight. It's only $15. We're up there. We're having a pretty good year here in football on the props, especially after that 2-0 night. Your quarterback did me good last night, Andrew. Over 1.5 touchdown passes for Jordan Love. Jordan Love did not throw an interception, so Jordan Love was very, very good to us, and I have another quarterback prop tonight that I think is going to pay us off nicely. So go grab that, wt.buzz/AL. Andrew, what do you have up for clients tonight?
Andy, for me, it's going to be just one prop on each game, so like one best bet prop for both the games going tonight. I'm waiting on lineups, but I'm looking like I might have my first big play in NHL preseason. I never, ever, ever have big plays in the preseason until about a week and a half, week-ish in, because that's when the cuts start taking place. We'll start seeing more of the real lineups. The situational spots can be there. And just like people talk about it in NFL, in the NHL, you can really tell which games mean more to certain teams and which teams are really trying in the preseason. So I like that. You can grab a day pass for me, which probably would be the best way to go if there's so many games being involved with both NFL games and my NHL preseason. If you want to get my NHL first month of the regular season, if you buy that, you get the rest of the preseason for free. So you're getting 1 month of the reg season and getting this 5% tonight potentially for free. As far as the props in the NFL go, we're on a 14-6 run. So that goes back to last year, but doing pretty well with the NFL props, low volume, and doing shows like this really helps because you're breaking down all kinds of picks. And you got to get that spaghetti strainer out. You got to find those one or two you like the most, and that's what I've been doing every week here.
All right, let's build a same game parlay. Let's. I'll have you get us started. What's the first leg you're interested in?
Let's go Cortland Sutton, 50+ yards.
Cortland Sutton, 50+ yards.
Is that too basic? Was that predictable?
No, it's good. It's good. I'm going to get us some plus money in this one. So I am going to go to Jake Browning to throw 2+ interceptions at plus 183. So we got Cortland Sutton 50+ yards receiving and Jake Browning to throw 2 or more interceptions. We're up to plus 290. All right, what's your next leg?
Let's go with and we can do alts obviously with the same game. Let's do Bo Nix 200+ yards.
Passing yards? No,
yeah.
Right. No, rushing.
Rushing would be.
I think he's gonna have a big game.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get a fun one in here. Let's go. Come on, you got to get Jamar Chase going here. Let's go Jamar Chase to have 100+ receiving yards. He's due for a big one here. So we got Cortland Sutton to have 50 yards, Jake Browning to throw 2 interceptions, Bo Nix 200+ passing yards, and Jamar Chase to have 100+ receiving yards. It's even 20-1. 20-1 there, Andrew. Pretty good.
Not a bad number. Not bad. And this is the one we win. This is the one we hit.
This is it. And then we're playing with house money for the rest of the the time. Nice work, graphics department. On top of it, have that graphic ready to rock impromptu. Thank you, Dan. All right, hey guys, real quick, we're gonna break down Jets and Dolphins. Please hit that like button. Just take a quick second, hit the like button. Leave us a comment below. Tell us what prop you like. Tell us what same game parlay you like. Just put something in the comments section. I read all the comments. Love seeing what you guys are on tonight. We get 2 games, so should be plenty of opportunities to find some good props. Let's talk about Jets and the Dolphins here. We go into passing props. High number for Justin Fields on the pass attempts, 26.5. I'll take the under on this one, 22 in week 1 in a game that they scored 32 points in. And here's the thing. These 2 teams, you can run on these teams. I'm not sure why they would want Justin Fields to sit back and throw the ball 30 times here when the Dolphins, have been able to run against them. So I expect a big Breece Hall game, expect a big Braylon Allen game. But I don't expect Justin Fields to be throwing the ball a lot. So I'll take under 26.5 pass attempts.
Yeah, under pass attempts, under yards. I'm on the same boat here. I like both of those as far as that's concerned. I do like Tua over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Jet secondary has been giving up scores, giving up passing touchdowns. And I feel like even though he's been pretty inconsistent, we've seen him make a lot of mistakes. We've seen a ton of interceptions out of him. I feel like this is a game where they could open things up and he's going to find their guys. So over 1.5 passing touchdowns, despite the price, I'm interested in it there. And we talked about interception props in the last game we mentioned here. I got to look at interception props for Tua once again. Look, this is a guy right now that, when you talk, Andy, about looking at Caleb Williams to not throw an interception, I like it how you keep it simple and you say, look, when he throws a bad pass and he misses his target, it just goes like 30 yards longer or shorter. With Tua, the ball dies in the air and it finds the opponent consistently. It's the opposite of throwing the ball away. And at least when Josh Allen gets interceptions, it's like a punt, like an 80-yard punt down the field. It's not the same case here for Tua. So I got to keep betting this. It keeps on hitting. This has kind of been a free play for me, a content play. I haven't given out any interception plays to clients all year, but as of now, I think he's going to let it loose. I wouldn't be shocked to see his longest completion hit in the same game that an interception hits, because that's kind of the game that they play. They risk that with how deep they go here.
I have Tua interception. I'm stunned at this number. Absolutely stunned. You can get him at minus 107 at DraftKings. Like, that's it. That's all we got to play for Tua to throw an interception. We've been playing Caleb Williams to not have an interception every game, and he threw one yesterday, and it was heartbreaking because it was a tipped ball at the line of scrimmage. The defender gets his hands up, and it just falls in the lap of the same guy. It's an interception to a defensive lineman. It was brutal. At least they didn't tie. Let's go on. But yeah, I like the passing props in this one too. To not have an interception and under on Fields, I think are pretty obvious plays. Let's move on to receiving props. I have an odd one for you. How about Mason Taylor over 20.5 receiving? one catch in each of the first 2 games for Mason Taylor, but then 4 catches last week. This is a Dolphins team that gives up over 71 yards per game to tight ends. So Mason Taylor's kind of an obscure one, over 20.5 yards receiving. And then Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions. 10 last week, 7 in week 1 when Fields played the whole game. So there's just not a lot of weapons in this passing offense, but Garrett Wilson is, he's good. This Miami defense, I don't think anybody trusts. So Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receiving, but I like that Mason Taylor over 20.5. That's a little bit obscure. I'm not sure that number is dialed in. So we'll hope that the Dolphins continue to struggle against tight ends. What do you like for receiving props?
Yeah, I like that as well. Up the middle, I think they're going to go there quite a bit. I think the Garrett Wilson number is a little bit low, to be honest. I think especially with this Miami defense, though, I think that's one that I want to look at. But the main one I like here in this one is Jalen Waddle over 4.5 receptions. I'm getting plus 100 even money here on this one. I expect Hill to be the guy that they cover. And I think that, right now, those explosive plays and those big plays are the plays that the Jets are going to do the best against. And I think that this is going to be a game where Waddle is a lot more of a volume guy versus a yards guy. He's not going to be getting those huge, deep plays, not going to be kind of game-changing, but he's going to move in the chains for them. And over 4.5 for me at the plus 100 number, I think is a good mark here. And I think this is kind of a game where if you're looking at Miami Dolphin player props, you look towards the second guy. I don't see this as a Tyreek game. I see this being one of those ones where he gets shut down and everybody else around him has success. And so that's why I'm choosing receptions versus yards here.
Moving on to rushing props, I think this might be my favorite category because you've got a Dolphins team that gives up 145 yards per game rushing. Jets give up 133. So I'm going to go to the guys that are not the most obvious ones. Give me Ollie Gordon over 25.5 rushing. They clearly didn't trust him in the first couple games, but then last week you saw him kind of have his breakout, 9 carries for 38 yards against Buffalo. Buffalo's another defense that struggles with against the run, and A-Chain can't run the ball and catch the ball on every single play. So I think Ollie Gordon's going to be getting more and more carries. So I like him over 25.5. And on the same token, Braylon Allen, this number's only 17.5. Had 6 carries in 2 games this season. He had 30 yards last week. And again, Breece Hall can't get the ball every single time. I think Braylon Allen's going to be the guy that gets, some of the short yardage work. And 17.5, boy, he breaks one for 10 yards. Only need a couple carries to get over this one. So Ollie Gordon and Braylon Allen, I like a lot tonight to get over their rushing totals. What about you?
I like Justin Fields over on his rushing yards. Coming off concussion, some people might be a little bit worried about health and kind of how he's going to perform here. But this is a Miami team that gives up chunk yards against mobile quarterbacks. And, of course, this is a guy that we can see scrambling. So if they are seeing pressure, if he does see an opportunity, I think all it will take is a couple attempts to get him over that number. People might be worried about that with, number one, the offensive line, number two, with some of his injuries he's had in the past. But I still think this is a pretty good number, and this is attacking a weakness we've seen from Miami so far throughout this season and going back to last year. The number's kind of moving up and down here. The updated number I've got is 46.5, completely fine with me. I think Justin Fields uses his legs and scrambles a fair amount today.
All right, we're going to touchdown scorers. Braylon Allen at plus 235. What if he's the goal line back? Ollie Gordon at plus 310. What if he's the goal line back? I think I'd want a little bit better numbers, but and A-Chain's the obvious one at minus 125, but I don't know. I don't think I can get there on any of the touchdown props. It's a pass for me. What about you?
A-Chain being only 5-1 first touchdown scorer is holy shit. That's fine. Sometimes when a number is so low, you're like, that's pretty low for a reason. So if I'm playing A-Chain, I'm taking the first touchdown score at 5-1, maybe a little sprinkle on that one. But hey, look, if I'm going to take a guy on receptions, then I got to be confident. I got to go back to him for a touchdown. And I think Jalen Waddle, plus 180 can be my guy. The Tyreek number is plus 130. I'll choose Waddle to be my guy here. Look, we're not throwing a huge price at you. Maybe if I do like my Justin Fields pick as far as scrambling, don't want him to get hurt, but if he does see an opening, does see a lane, plus 230 is a bit intriguing as well as far as his touchdown number. And this is a big game for both teams, Andy. Both teams are going to be laying it all on the line. both teams will not be happy with how this season has gone so far, to put it lightly here. So very interesting to see kind of the moves that get made by the coaches, some of the players, what they'll do here, because it's going to be real interesting to see. You know what's going to be interesting? After some UFC events, I like watching the post-fight press conferences. This is going to be a game where we're going to get some good sound bites out of the losing coach after this one. So both teams are going to be laying it all on the line. How about a parlay, both quarterbacks, anytime touchdown here? I got to see what that one's paying, because I know we don't ever really see. Do we even have odds here for? I don't even see Tua being offered.
I don't even see Tua.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be interesting.
20-1, Andrew.
Justin Fields. I'll sprinkle Fields.
Ballsy call of the week. Andrew Tua to rush for a touchdown. 20-1. Garrett Wilson at plus 170, I guess, a little bit interesting. He scored 2 this week. It's kind of like Rome Odunze. By the way, how about that prop just keeps cashing? Rome Odunze to catch a touchdown pass for the Bears. So yeah, Garrett Wilson if they're throwing. Yeah.
It seemed like everybody in the world yesterday had Tucker Kraft anytime touchdown. I don't know if you saw, like, he went down the 1 yard line, not once, but twice yesterday.
Yeah. Then they score 40 points. He can't get any of them. So
yeah.
All right, let's do week 5 look aheads again. Andrew has got potential NHL big bet that's coming up. He's got a couple props, one in each game. Andrew, tell us about that one more time.
Yeah, just one play in each game tonight. Narrow it down to that. It's a 14-6 NFL prop run. That's been very low volume, and that does go back to last season, so you guys can join me here. Don't expect to get a ton of plays when we fire on a prop in the NFL. We've done very well so far. And just really quick, that current deal, by the first month of my NHL regular season, I was number 2 last season. Then you will get the rest of the preseason for free. I'm hoping to pay that off for you with some winners in the preseason and hopefully a big play going tonight. Andy, unfortunately, no longer undefeated on prime time, but you've been having another great season with those props. Remind people again what you have going on, as well as other sports too.
Yeah, I dropped my first Monday Night Football play last week, so that brings the record to 2-1. Hoping to go 3-1 for the season. I have one best bet that is up. Coming off a really nice Sunday night football game. We had 2 plays in that game, cashed on both of them. So looking to go 3-0 in prime time this week. Only one play. You can get there, wt.buzz/AL, last 365 days. Number 1 in props in all sports. So been a really, really good source of profits for the portfolio. So join me in this winner tonight. We'll partner up and cash in Monday Night Football. All right, let's take a look at week 5. And we just go through these games, and Andrew and I haven't even looked at the matchups, but we just want to give our really quick thoughts about props. And we'll go to Thursday Night Football, 49ers and the Rams. So many injuries with the 49ers. The one that just keeps on hitting is McCaffrey over his receiving total. Now with Pearsall hurt, you got Juwan Jennings is banged up. It's just kind of a mess. And good Lord, Puka Nacua, 42 catches, 500 yards. Is he the best right now? Numbers wise, just the situation at quarterback, he's got to be the number 1 receiving prop guy, because I don't trust Justin Jefferson's quarterback situation. I certainly don't trust Jamar Chase's. So Puka's been the MVP for fantasy at the receiving position. What's your thoughts on this game?
You know what, Andy? I think I would just look at Stafford passing attempts, because they're just. For a team that is capable of running the ball, they are throwing the ball a ton right now. He's going over completions. He's going over passing attempts, going over yards. So I would continue to look towards that. Spreading out the offense. Not every play has been an electric play, but they've got a lot of weapons over there. They're almost like using some of their guys, like their running backs, or even some guys as it's like they're throwing a run. Like they're throwing 2 or 3 yard plays, which, pretty much helps you catch these attempt props. So I look towards that, but nothing in that one. San Fran's a team that I have been staying away from for props, I feel like, for 3 years straight, because I feel like there's like an ambulance just parked outside their practice facility every week. So I don't really bet a lot of props on that team.
It's sad but true. It's just the injury. What is it with that team? I mean, at some point, it's just not a coincidence that everybody's just getting hurt on that team.
I'll tell you what isn't a coincidence. MetLife Stadium taking guys ACLs. That's just horrible. That's just that needs to change.
All right, marquee game, Broncos versus Dan's Eagles. We'll see what the Broncos are like. I'm going right back to Jalen Hurts anytime. Touchdown. Barkley. People were worried about Barkley going into this year. He's only got 237 yards this week. He does have 3 touchdowns. I'll have to wait and see what to do with this Broncos, but you got to be concerned taking overs on A.J. Brown at this point. Basically, Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown is just one I rinse and repeat every single week. That's the only thing I'll do in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how tonight's game goes for the Broncos, but I think based on what we've seen from the Eagles, how they're just so good at swallowing up the clock and killing so much time, I'm gonna probably look towards the Bo Nix passing yards over. Once they go down, he's gonna have to throw the ball a ton.
Overseas game, London, Vikings, Browns. Good luck. Good luck playing props in this one. It's a complete pass for me.
Yeah, I've got nothing there. I might look for interception props on both teams. We're just seeing sloppiness offensively from both, so that's all I'd say.
Raiders at my Colts. I'll go back to Daniel Jones over his passing, depending on the numbers. The Raiders look awful. Geno Smith is a turnover machine. You could play Geno Smith over his interceptions. Tyler Warren continues to look absolutely incredible, but Daniel Jones, he's the real deal. Colts should have won that game. Now, the Colts not winning is bad enough, but my gosh, how in the world did they not cover that game? Like, Jonathan Taylor's touchdown gets called back. I don't know, it was a weak holding call. And then our boy drops the ball and fumbles it out of the end zone as he's running into the end zone. Yeah, so not only did they not win, they didn't even cover. I still can't believe it. So
hey,
right.
I had the Raiders. Okay, like that's a bad one in itself. That's a bad one in itself to lose that one after the game they had. So both teams won't be happy. We'll put it that way going into this week.
All right. All right, I see your message you sent to me in chat in Slack. We'll use yours, Andrew. We'll go to the Giants at the Saints. I don't know what's going to happen. I think I'm going to take Dart under his passing. No Malik Neighbors. Got the first game excitement out of the way. This New Orleans team, they're 0-4, but they're a little bit frisky. I just think with no Neighbors, this is going to be pretty tough. Cam Scatterboo is probably going to be the real popular one in this game, so. I don't know. I don't have much for the Saints these days. Kamara looks pretty decent. He's not a wasteland, but I'm still not betting any money on him.
How do you feel about Scatterboo receiving yards? We've seen it very minimally so far, but I had the Giants. That was my main play yesterday. I was excited. I thought it was a good opportunity. I like Dart, but you know how it always goes, Andy. It's game 2 where the struggles happen, not game 1. So maybe we do see it more simplified, facing more pressure. Guy looked good, though, yesterday. We got to say. He looked pretty good, looked pretty comfortable there. But, yeah, do you know much about – do you think he'd be involved in the receiving game, or is that like a worst-case scenario? I've seen he's gotten like a handful of receptions here and there this season, but I was kind of wondering if maybe they involve him in just the short game.
I was in New York, and he is like the new thing. He is like their favorite. Like Jackson Dart and Scatterboo. Like the fans basically want these guys locked up for 10-year contracts. This is just this is their favorite thing. So, he's the guy. As long as Tyrone Tracy's hurt, Scatterboo's going to be the guy. I think it's overs on just about everything. So, all right, we move to the Dallas How about them Cowboys and the New York Jets? Pickens is starting to come into his own. That was one of my good calls for fantasy football. I thought Pickens wasn't. Now, obviously, Lamb is out, but as long as Lamb is out and Pickens gets that rapport, I really like him. The Javonte Williams thing, I don't know how awesome it's going to be moving forward. Now, he does get a good matchup, but for me, it's George Pickens all day, and then we'll see what happens with the Jets. I'm interested to see what happens with this New York Jets rushing game, because if they have a big game, I think we're going to get a great number on Justin Fields over 1.5 touchdown passes. That's like my new jam playing the opposing quarterback of the Cowboys to throw over 1.5 touchdown passes. That's just a rinse and repeat. That defense is absolutely god awful. What's your take?
I'll be potentially looking towards a Breece Hall receiving yards. The Cowboys overall haven't been a good defense. We know their secondary has been bad, but they've been giving up big chunk plays to running backs in the pass catching game as well. Not even just a couple yards. Like the yards after catch has been absolutely atrocious for that defense. So maybe that's something I'll look at here. Again, it's always tough when we're talking about a game that's one team's playing tonight, but I mean, the Cowboys are going to be a fun team prop-wise all year long, Andy, because they're a team that's putting up points themselves, but they're also giving up points, hence the 40-40 score line. So a pretty good team prop-wise. You're right about Pickens. Do you worry that, long-term with that team, it would be like one game it's Lamb, one game it's Pickens, or there could be games where there's both of them? I feel like it's like, hey, man, you're going to get all the targets one game. You're going to get all of them the next game. It's hard for them to have both of them happy, it seems like, but that's long-term thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's also what's the defense going to do? Does the defense be like, hey, we're taking away Lamb, or hey, we're going to single cover? So it's going to be game to game, and you're right. As soon as Lamb gets back, you're just be like, all right, I guess I'll just play Dak over because one of them's going to have a big one. But in the immediate future, Pickens is the guy. All right, let's move on to the Dolphins and the Panthers. Yikes. Chuba Hubbard, it's very concerning that he's starting to lose some touches to Rico Dowdle, but this Panthers team is awful. The Dolphins are awful. I have no plays in this game. Need to see what happens tonight. There could be a coaching change for the Dolphins if this game tonight goes really horrible. So you got anything you like in this one?
I've got nothing here. I mean, maybe this is a team that the Panthers could run against. That's the only thing I would look at. Like, who have they really been able to run against each week? They haven't been in a position that they've been able to run the ball. So maybe we get low value on some rushing props because every week they really find themselves in a position where they have to throw the ball, 40 plus times in order to have any shots. So maybe some rushing props, but won't be on my list of games I'm looking at here.
Texans, Ravens, CJ Stroud over. This Ravens defense is so banged up, they can't stop anybody. CJ Stroud should have a big day. Even with that terrible offensive line, I don't think they're going to be able to get pressure on him. And there's some concern about Derrick Henry. He's not a guy that you can really utilize when you're down. We saw Justice Hill score and get some nice work, but Derrick Henry is going to be a concern because this game flow for the Ravens it doesn't fit. Where he's there to grind down the clock when they're up 10. I mean, this defense cannot stop anybody. CJ Stroud overs. What do you think?
I was just going to say, you mentioned his name. I think Justice Hill has kind of welcomed himself to this offense once again. He used to be a guy. I remember last year you and I talking about him, and he was a guy like where the yardage was super low. We were hoping on a couple of attempts to get us over. Now I think he's going to be a lot more a part of this team, and maybe that's a thing that they do for Derrick Henry. Hey, man, we're going to not involve you every single time here. You stay rested, not just mentally or physically focused, but mentally focused, and no more fumbles out of you. I think Justice Hill could be a guy we look at in that one.
I stashed him on a fantasy team that has kind of deep rosters. I don't think that's a bad stash at all if you got an empty roster spot. Titans and Cardinals. This Titans team is really bad. I feel bad for Cam Ward. This coaching staff is a complete disaster. And then at the same time, I have no idea what to make of the Cardinals. I won't be playing a Titans prop for the rest of the year unless there's some ridiculously stupid number. So this one's going to be a tough one for me to play anything. You?
Yeah, I'll stay away, but I don't usually buy into like media stuff, and even coaches' quotes in NFL can be hard to come by because they're just putting on a mask. But this is probably the first week I saw him get a little bit of hate, Ward. Like at the end of the day. Very humble guy, seems to be a good player in the media, good guy. But at the end of the day, they're getting smoked right now. And just because he said, I'll keep it a buck with you, we're ass. Well, hey, dude, you play on the team. So we're going to need more out of you. So I think that we could look at maybe looking at his longest completion or some passing yards. We're going to get the lowest value you possibly can. He's obviously their guy, and they're going to develop him. But this next week could be a good week for them. And the matchup's not too bad as far as the secondary they're facing. So maybe it could be a good week for him. And good news is I haven't played a prop on him all year long. So I'd love to play my first one with him and it be a winner.
Buccaneers and Seahawks. I was terrified to play the Baker over 1.5 touchdown passes, and then he gets there. It's a bicep injuries in the wide receivers, and it just keeps cashing. So I think I got to go back to that one. I kind of like Darnold. I think Darnold's going to have success last week. I'd love to get a good number on that one. The Buccaneers still giving up a lot of points, so I think Seattle's going to be able to move the ball. Darnold overs Baker 1.5 touchdown passes. What do you think?
I'm going to take Darnold. I'll take Darnold under on passing attempts. This team has just been mixing in the run a lot. Like when he does throw the ball, he's throwing a good ball, but they're not really overly giving him a high load of workload. So I think under on passing attempts could be good. Unless they're really getting stuffed with the running game, I feel like they're going to keep mixing it in at a solid amount.
Lions and Bengals. Wow. It's going to be obvious take to say the Lions guys should do really well. I'll just say I might look to play on David Montgomery. He had a terrible, was non-existent. And Dan Campbell loves David Montgomery. If ever there was a get right spot, I would look at David Montgomery touchdowns over his yards. It's pretty obvious to say Gibbs and St. Brown should have really good games. But I think David Montgomery could be sneaky in that one. What do you think?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is single-handedly winning me a league right now. I know we're only a few weeks in, but he has been unbelievable every single week. So, look, there's some times where you say, oh, look, let's look at the backups, look at the secondary guys. I don't even think this Detroit team is that team. Next week, I might look at alt receptions for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He gets fed every single week. So as for now, this is a team, and I love your take there with that one, especially with the running back. But right now with the receivers, this Detroit team just feeds their top players. So I never look at alts as far as more plus money. Usually it's in a small same gamer to the lower, but he's getting absolutely fed. This could be a good matchup.
Commanders and Chargers. My boy Quentin Johnston. I paid a bunch of money for him in free agency, and everyone said I overspent on him. And now I'm the one laughing. He's incredible. 337 yards and 4 touchdowns. You got to be panicking about Ladd McConkey, but surely the Ladd McConkey get right game is coming. As far as Commanders, you just got to wait and see what's going on with their quarterback situation. But until further notice, Quentin Johnston appears to be the one that you play on the overs. So he's catching a lot of passes. He's doing good stuff with them, and he's catching touchdowns. So what do you think on Commanders Chargers?
I'd say Keenan Allen seems to be the receptions and not yards guy now. Would you say? He is the reliability. He is the guy that's always there for you, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to catch a deep ball. We've seen 4 or 5 game receptions out of him with early 30s or late 20 yardage. It's hard for that to even happen, really, on that many catches, but that's kind of what he's been. So I look towards his reception, something I've kind of noticed here.
Patriots and Bills. I still don't think this Bills defense is that good. I would expect a really nice game from Drake May. James Cook is another guy that can – I have a fantasy team with James Cook and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are my first 2 picks. Let's go. Nice. James Cook has been absolutely fantastic. I love that they're committing to him. Thank you, Buffalo. Workload, I worry about a little bit. 75 carries, that's a lot for him. But Drake May to throw 2 touchdowns. I think they're going to be in catch-up mode. Drake May over his rushing. And we had a Stephon Diggs sighting yesterday, Andrew. But I'm not – I don't know. I can't buy into Stephon Diggs. It's a perfect – listen, the revenge perfect spot for him, I know. But, I don't know. Josh Allen anytime touchdown, that's coming soon. So what do you think?
I had a buddy that dropped not even, I feel like a lot of people dropped Diggs going into last week.
Yeah.
I know people that were man, this guy's the big. It's if you're going to drop him after he has a bad game against the Panthers. Don't drop him before he plays a team like that. Are you kidding me? It's I don't know. He's just been frustrating me. This is the week that you would have kept him at least. One thing I've noticed every single week, I'm looking at the stat sheet from the last couple of games right now, and I have no clue. I have no clue what the actual number is for longest reception for this guy. But it seems like Hunter Henry could just be not involved in the entire game, and then he just catches a 15 or 16 yarder. That's what his MO is. He has 2 receptions. Longest completion was 16 yards. So maybe that's something we look for. And it seems like that's the position that these younger Patriot quarterbacks have been targeting for the past few years. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But do you feel like we're getting value on Drake May props at this point, and especially in that game we might? Because, look, I was down on the Patriots. I wasn't really liking May very much, but maybe if his receivers can step up and they can spread the offense out, maybe he's better than I thought he was.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some good numbers. I can't wait to play him. Last game, Chiefs and Jags. Chiefs get their breakout game. Mahomes has the huge game. Travis Etienne, probably the most pleasant surprise from running back this year. He's been incredible, and it looks like it's his job and his job only. That'd be the only player I would look at. The Chiefs defense does. I would be worried about playing guys to go over against the Chiefs defense. But I can't really, honestly, I'm probably not playing anything in this game unless the numbers come out that are really staggeringly off. But ETN, the big winner so far in Jacksonville. What do you think?
I think T-Law passing attempts will be a good one here. Not completions, specifically attempts. Going to have to put some points up against this team. It's a big matchup for them. Came down to the wire yesterday. Didn't have a ton of passing attempts, but didn't really need to, as you mentioned with ETN, how well he's playing. But I think in this matchup, we're going to have to see Lawrence throw the ball. So passing attempts for me would be one I'm eyeing here.
All right, that wraps it up for us. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on Props and Parlays. Andrew and I both have props up for tonight's game. Go grab those over at WagerTalk.com. Bet responsibly and hit the like button before we get out here. And make sure you leave a comment below. Tell us a prop or same game parlay that you like. We love reading those comments and seeing what you guys are on. Thanks for joining us. Good luck tonight on both games, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
To the opening line report. I am Kelly Stewart. Break down what we saw last in the NFL, and we're going to talk about NFL Week 5. We've got T Covers, the man with all the information. He shares his notes with me, and I think it's absolutely incredible. He writes just. I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta reproofread this, Teddy, because you write how you're thinking. Here we go. Here's what I saw. Here's what we need to know. Next game, and that is what this show is all about. Information early in the week, and that is why we are here bright and early on a Monday morning there on the West Coast. Teddy Covers, anything you want to get into before we talk Monday Night Football?
I want to say thanks, man. The support for this show this year has been overwhelming, and I really appreciate it, guys. We appreciate the likes. We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the follows. The goal is, and this is why this is the #1 football show on Monday mornings anywhere out there, all right? We're going to give you a ton of info, Be ready. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's rock and roll, Teddy. We've got 2 Monday Night Football games here. Neither one of them is, well, in my opinion, anything to write home about, but we'll start off with the Jets at Miami.
So I don't care if it's a marquee matchup or if it's a matchup of 0-3 teams. They're all bettable games, all right? And when you find an edge, you look for it. So it doesn't matter to me. I literally could care less whether it's, these marquee matchups or not. Jets-Dolphins, it's a classic rivalry. That being said, there's some urgency right now. Let's do an EBA for a Monday Night Football game tonight.
Wow, right out of the gate. I wasn't even ready to go yet. Haven't even hit that caffeine yet. Come on.
Exactly. If you want the Dolphins, bet them right now. All right. This line is still sitting at 2.5. It's 2.5 with juice. I'm seeing the first 3 starting to pop up. It appears as if Miami is the much more popular choice this evening than the New York Jets. So, again, you're not going to get the worst of it at 2.5. If you want the Dolphins, bet it sooner rather than later. Total's been sitting 44.5 from the open. It really hasn't moved. I'm seeing a little bit of under push, but not enough to say you got to get to the window with it. But we are seeing some Dolphins money right now. We could easily see more. So if you like Miami, play the 2.5 right now. If you like the Jets, find a 3 now or just wait until later.
Teddy,
when it comes to the late game tonight, really, that's been sitting 7.5, 44.5 all week. By the way, my look headline for this, Miami 2.5, 44.5. My powering number was 2. Look at line for Denver Cincy was 5.5, 45.5. My powering number 6.5 for that game. Obviously, the markets are at 7.5 right now. So based on my numbers, there's a little bit of value on the Cincy side, but I'm not seeing any indicators that this line is going back down to 7 or anything like that. So the urgency for Monday Night Football tonight is only if you like the Dolphins.
All right, I was going to ask, in between the 2 games, something that looks really simplistic to me, Teddy, is to tease the Jets up, tease the Broncos down. I sit back on my couch, I relax. Tell me where maybe that's the wrong thing to do here on Monday night.
So if you're following basic strategy, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to tease the Denver down to 1.5 and tease the Jets up to 8.5. That's crossing all the key numbers. I'm not going to talk you out of it. I have an opinion, a bettable opinion on Cincy Denver for the late game that you can get right now on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC.
All right, let's get right into Thursday Night Football. Rams at the 49ers. Hand up, Teddy. I had the Colts yesterday, and I was not very happy with that result, but that is okay. Niners, though, Marco gave me the Jags on bet on it as his barking dog, and I thought, and then John Murray said they were going to need the Niners, and I kind of pump faked, and I said, all right, I'm going to bet the Jags. Sure enough, Brock Purdy back in action here for the Niners. What do we need to know about him going into Thursday Night Football?
So before I do that, just a little recap of what happened yesterday. It wasn't a bad day for bad beats in the NFL. Indy was probably the worst of the bunch, and the over wasn't in there. It wasn't very attractive either. That was probably the toughest beat. The Vegas and the blocked field goal in the final drive. But when it came to bad beats, to right sides that lost, wasn't a whole lot of them. Was a big day for over bettors, 9-4 to the over in Sunday action yesterday. When it comes to San Fran and LA, with all these games, you get 4 sets of point spreads. You get the look ahead line. These are the bettable lines from last week. I use the Westgate Superbook numbers. Sometimes I'll adjust if Westgate is off market, and I'll mention it when that happens. I don't remember any of them this week that are like that. So, but I use the Westgate Superbook for the look ahead lines. So that tells us how much yesterday's games affect these numbers. I'll give you my powering number for these 2 teams. We'll talk about where the line opened last night And we'll talk about, and again, with an opener, I use consensus numbers. I don't use the odds logic on live odds screen for their openers. I use a consensus of books, usually a Sunday about between 5 and 6 o'clock Pacific time is when I'll write down what the quote unquote openers are. And then we'll talk about where the money has moved from the openers. So look ahead line here, Rams -3, 47. My powering number, Rams -3.5. Markets opened last night, 3.5 / 46.5 / 47. And that's pretty much what we're seeing today. 3.5 for the Rams this morning, total 46.5 / 47. So we haven't seen a whole lot of movement on this one yet. As for LA, look, they were a wrong side yesterday and they got there. And I'll give them credit, all right? It was kind of the opposite of last week at Philly, where this time they fell behind and rallied late to win. They had a couple of lucky breaks go their way. We'll talk about that when we talk about Indy. But Stafford made the throws when it mattered most, including the game winner to Tutu. Tutu Atwell is one of these guys that doesn't get a lot of PT, and they're super excited when he makes a big play, and obviously he did yesterday to win the game. Puka and Devontae Adams might be the best wide receiver duo in the league right now. They combined 17 catches, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns between them. So the Rams got away with one yesterday, came out victorious, and now obviously at home against San Fran. San Fran will have plenty of support in that crowd. The 49ers only punted twice, and yet the offense was never in sync. They went 0-1 on 4th downs. They had 4 turnovers. All of those 4 turnovers, by the way, came on first down for San Francisco, which is something that tells us that people are taking too many chances in that sense. The defense didn't force any. Purdy wasn't sharp. He was back after missing 2 games with that toe injury. Quote, as an offense, we have to play better than today, and our team knows it. Offense needs to protect the ball. Defense needs to go take it. That's our game. Today on offense, we didn't succeed in any of it. It hurts. San Fran has been outrushed by their opponent each of the last 3 games. They average just 3.5 yards per carry. They ranked 31st in the NFL in yards per carry year to date. This running game isn't working. But frankly, I'm more worried about the defense without Nick Bosa than the offense. I mean, yes, they outgained Jacksonville by a yard per play, but again, that lies a little bit. They allowed a punt return touchdown and special teams touchdowns. Remember this. Special teams touchdowns, teams that are good on special teams, make their stats look worse. Teams that are bad on special teams make their stats look better. When you give a punt return touchdown, the other team doesn't get any offense, and you get 2 drives in a row. So, and Purdy did some things right. 300 yards, 8 different receivers caught a pass. Ricky Pearsall hurt his knee, though. He's been their best receiver. Check his status. Trent Williams talking about the 3-1 start, and if the Niners feel like a 3-1 team. Quote, what does a 3-1 team feel like? I mean, we got 17 games, so 4 weeks in. It don't matter. We got a Thursday night game. We got a big divisional rival. That's all we're focused on. The record will speak for itself at the end of the year. That, to me, is a solid quote from a veteran player. Not worried too much about 1 win or 1 loss, looking at the big picture. That being said, again, my powering number is 3.5. The game's lined at 3.5, so I'm not seeing any initial value for this Thursday night affair.
All right, minimum value there on Thursday night. We got lots of value here on WagerTalk, and it comes from all of you guys. Over 1,000 of you guys watching live right now. This is wonderful. Makes my heart very happy. So give us that like. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you never miss another episode of the Opening Line Report. Teddy, one of the games that I think has some interesting, we'll call it scheduling, right? The Minnesota Vikings get to stay in Europe, right? They just played and lost yesterday morning to the Steelers bright and early. Now they're taking on the Cleveland Browns, who just got trounced by the Detroit Lions. Kind of break down this early East Coast kick, very early West Coast kick next Sunday.
Yeah. Just like this past week when you wake up in Vegas, 6:30 a.m. kickoff in Vegas, 9:30 for you on the East Coast. Look ahead line here. There was some variance. They're 4.5/5/5.5 for Minnesota. Total 38.5. Note that low total and how it's getting lower. My powering number, Minnesota -5. The markets, there was variance last night. Opened 3.5/4/4.5 and all in between. Total from 38.5 in the look ahead to 37 last night. And we're seeing 36.5s out there this morning. The Browns are the ultimate under team. A defense that can stop anyone and an offense that really can't score at all. I'll talk about the Cleveland side of the equation first, then we'll talk about Minnesota staying in Europe. And remember, it's not like they're staying in the same stadium, not even staying in the same country. They're traveling from Ireland to London. It's a flight. It's change of hotels. It's a road game. But it's less of a flight than their opponents had. But in terms of a huge edge for Minnesota, I'm not going to call it a huge edge. It might be I didn't give them anything in terms of from a power rank standpoint from staying in Europe. Maybe I give them a half point. I did give them a half point. So I gave them a half point for staying there. So is that worth something? Not much. Anyhow, the Browns showed us yesterday, and remember this, we talk about bad teams off a win. They're not trustworthy. Last year, they went 0-3 straight up and against the spread off their 3 victories. And again, this year, 0-1 off their victory. They got a great opening drive, 13 plays, 80-plus yards, touchdown, and then got outscored 34-3 the rest of the game. Joe Flacco, less than 50% completions. He threw a couple of picks. The rookie running back, Quinshon Judkins, he had a really good game. He's been solid, but nobody else offensively did anything. They allowed a punt return touchdown. The defense, what do we say? Amazing. Again, they held Detroit to 277 yards, 4.9 yards per play, 16 first downs. It's hard to do that to the Lions offense in Detroit, especially when the offense is turning the ball over and punting. That being said, Kevin Stefanski, quote, "We did too many things you can't do if you want to beat a good team on the road. We obviously have to clean these things up." Same thing he's been saying. Joe Flacco, that first interception was on me. I didn't read the coverage correctly, and I threw it to the wrong spot. It's really frustrating to make a mental mistake last night. It's worth noting for everyone that wants to bring in the rookies, all right? Both starting tackles are hurt. DeJuan Jones out with a season-ending injury. Jack Conklin's been inactive the last couple of weeks. If you want to bring in a rookie quarterback against the Vikings defense with both tackles out, you're asking for trouble. I would not bench Joe Flacco at this stage of the season. Flacco is without a doubt, Flacco is their best option. Now, for Minnesota, they're going from Dublin to London, staying in Europe. Obviously, Wentz had 350 passing yards yesterday, though they trailed by margin all game. But he had 2 interceptions. He had 6 sacks. Jordan Addison was a factor in his first game back with the 81-yard touchdown. The defense struggled against the Steelers. The Steelers ran for 131 yards on 4.5 yards per carry. They gave up an 80-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf. It was an uncharacteristic performance from that Brian Flores defense. Allowed 5.9 yards per rush, didn't force a turnover. They were -2 in turnovers. They made mistakes. Kevin O'Connell after the game, we just didn't do enough to overcome either our own execution or the injuries or whatever. And let's talk about injuries for Minnesota. All right. The center, Ryan Kelly, out with a concussion. The tackle, Brian O'Neill, was ruled out with a knee injury after getting hurt on the Vikings field goal attempt in the first quarter. In fact, by the end of the game, they were playing with more backup offensive linemen, 3, than starters, 2. So left guard Donovan Jackson's likely to miss at least one more game. And I would expect that to be the case here. So it is a Minnesota team with cluster injuries on the offensive line facing one of the best defenses in the NFL. I can understand why my powering number a little bit high compared to the market right now based on that assessment.
All right, Teddy, the Dolphins play the Jets tonight on Monday Night Football, but we're going to talk about their matchup versus the Panthers next week. Panthers, what do we make of this team?
What do we make of them? We make that we're going to bet against bad teams off a win. All right. That's what Carolina was, much like Cleveland. They got the W, they exhaled, and it was ugly. Look at line. Pick 'em. Carolina and Miami. Total was anywhere from 44.5 to 46.5. Wide variance on the total. My powering number prior to Monday Night Football comes Miami -0.5 point for what it's worth. The market's open. Miami -1.5, 45.5 last night. And that's basically what I'm seeing right now. There are some ones out there for Miami. And again, the total, I'm seeing 44.5 and 46.5 right now. If you like the Dolphins tonight, you can parlay Miami tonight with, again, they're playing on national TV. If they look good, they'll be laying in Carolina. If they look bad, this will be a pick 'em or Carolina will be -1 or something like that. So if you want to bet on or against Miami for tonight, you can make 2 bets instead of 1 and potentially get the best of the number if you parlay on the Dolphins twice or against the Dolphins twice. But I mean, Carolina, they were a bad team off a win. They led 6-0. They missed extra point after the first drive, and then they allowed 42 straight points to New England. They were so far behind that Andy Dalton got in the game. Bryce Young went on the bench. And again, this is a game where the box score is going to lie. All right. Box score says Carolina outgained New England. No turnovers for either team. Well, what happened? Well, the Panthers got 91 yards on a truly meaningless final drive with Andy Dalton behind center. And New England, with all the big plays they made, they got to have short fields. They didn't have to put up a ton of yards. Bryce Young after the game, quote, "It's on me. It's on everybody in that locker room." We talked about that after. We can all take accountability. We all have to look in the mirror. We all have to understand what we can do better. Dave Canales after the game, head coach, quote, "When it happens in all phases, I'm the common denominator. I have to take responsibility for that." So at least they're saying the right things. You know, the leaders are saying, "I screwed up. I got to do better." That being said, another team with some significant injury concerns. Wide receiver David Moore got hurt. The right guard Zavala got hurt. The defensive tackle Cam Jackson got hurt in yesterday's game. So they're not healthy and they're not good. And that's a problem, even against Miami.
All right, next game up also has some Monday Night Football implications. The good old Jets, Teddy, versus the Cowboys. Man, I went to bed last night. Hand up. I took the Cowboys plus 6.5. I said, I'm going to bed. I woke up to whistles. My iPad was going off. Whistles going crazy. I look and I'm like, holy cow, here come the Cowboys. I think that was an impressive tie, if you will. How about that? Does that count?
Yeah, but the fact that so Dallas has to go for that. They can't kick that field goal in overtime. The play calling on second and third down was all we're going to go take 4 shots at the end zone, and they didn't. I was surprised that they didn't, and it ended up costing them a potential W. That being said, a potential W, tie is better than a loss. Not if you're playing Survivor, it isn't. Ties, both sides lose for Survivor. Season wins, huge deal with ties because they don't count as wins either. So for Survivor, for season wins, bad news if you had Green Bay or Dallas. Or, well, Green Bay particularly for season wins or Dallas if you had overs for those 2 teams. Good news if you had unders. Look ahead line here, Dallas minus 1.5, 46.5. My powering number going into Monday Night Football, Dallas minus 1. The markets opened 1.5 and 46.5. And what are we seeing? 47.5 right now. If we see any offense from the Jets, we're going to see over money for this ball game. All right. The markets want to play Dallas over. Dallas has played like an over team from the get-go this season. I'm not going to EBA it because we're going into or emergency betting alert it because we're going into Monday Night Football. And if the Jets and Dolphins finish 3-0, we're not going to see that over money. But if you see points start being scored tonight in Monday Night Football, get to the window and bet this one. I don't know if it'll be up. It won't be up during the game, so never mind. Bad advice. Ignore that little one. Edit that out. Oh, shit, we're live. But the bottom line is there could be opportunities to get involved here with the over if we see points for Dallas and the Jets. And I would bet that sooner rather than later if we see points in bunches. I mean, the offense looked great on last night, and the defense has been rough from the get-go. And of course, when the defense allowed 2 scores inside 2 minutes and couldn't hold the lead, when he went in with like 40 seconds left or whatever it was, scored that the touchdown to take the lead for Dallas. I'm like, you should have gone out at the 1 and burned the clock. They didn't, and it cost them a win, although they still got the tie, which is a heck of a lot better than a loss.
All right, Teddy, if you bet my best bet on Wednesday when I gave it out on Bet On It, Raiders plus 1.5, you got a win. And if you waited any other point in time than that, you got a loss. This Raiders team is bad. I was so disappointed in that fourth quarter by this team. We mentioned the Colts, also a loss for me, but more of a wonky loss. A.D. Mitchell, thank you for that one. But what I want to talk about, in addition to what you think about this game, because a comment section tells me that they like it, is I am considering using the Colts this week in Survivor. Let me read you what I sent to my partners. Off a loss versus the Raiders. The only other strong play I see is to play them week 8 versus the Titans. I wanted to get your thought on maybe a Survivor play here as well.
Look at line Indy minus 6.5, 49.5. My powering number Colts minus 7. The markets opened 6.5 / 48.5, 49. And we're seeing 48 now. So a little bit of under money and a little bit of Colts money. And let's do it. Let's get an emergency betting alert for this one. Okay, what you've seen with the Raiders and what I've seen with the Raiders, this is not a team that's going anywhere. All right, their offensive line is a disaster. They're a West Coast team traveling east for an early start game off a devastating loss at home. They're back, they went back east one week and then back to Vegas one week and then back east the next week. Indy coming off a loss. There were some positives from the Raiders yesterday. They had 240 rushing yards. Ashton Genty became the first Raiders rookie with 3 touchdowns in a game since Bo Jackson in 1987. Yards per play, Raiders 6.9, Bears 4.1. Red zone, Raiders 2.3, the Bears 1.4. Or 1 out of 4. Max Crosby was unblockable. He's the most impactful defensive player in the game that I've seen this year. He really is. And they found a way to lose. Can't lose games like this at home. Obviously, they had 4 turnovers. The defense forced only 1. Geno threw 3 picks. No receiver had 50 yards. They had the blocked field goal on the offensive line on the final drive. This all has to do with offensive line issues for the Raiders. It continues to be a problem. It likely will continue to be a problem for a team that's struggling in short yardage and struggling in high leverage situation. Oh, by the way, Colton Miller, tackle, carted off the field in the final minute with a leg injury. It mattered on that final field goal attempt, and it will definitely matter if he's missing this week. Check his status. They're also without Michael Meyer at tight yesterday's ball game. Indy, they lost the game straight up and against the spread, but they didn't go down in my power ratings. They were every bit as good as the Rams, if not better in that game. I feel bad for that. I know everyone's ripping Adonai Mitchell. I feel really bad for that guy. He was just trying to reach the ball across the goal line like players do. He wasn't showboating. He was just trying to reach that. He just fumbled it out of his hands. Instead of the play of the day, it's a 75-yard catch and fumble through the end zone. And then Jonathan Taylor, 4.5 yards per carry against LA's defense would have been better, but that long touchdown run got called back on penalty. Oh, it was Adonai Mitchell's penalty. Oops, that's rough. Brutal for over bettors, brutal for Colts bettors. They finished with 3 turnovers, 2 of them in the fourth quarter, 11 penalties. Jones, his first 2 turnovers of the season in that ball game. And, of course, the play that they lost, they're supposed to, all right, maybe give up a field goal there. They're not supposed to give up an 88-yard touchdown to Atwell. But the quarterback, Blackman, fell down and covered. He tripped over his own legs. Happens. They didn't give up 462 total yards. That's their most since week 5 of last season. And there are some injuries in the secondary. Cornerback Kenny Moore is hurt. Jalen Jones is on IR. Xavier Howard had a rough game against Puka Nacua, but the Raiders don't have a Puka Nacua on their team. I got to think the Colts take money at 6.5. I would say if you want to bet Indy, do it sooner rather than later.
So that is a yes. I should be considering them possibly for this week's Survivor play.
Sure. The Colts would be on my short list. Absolutely. As team.
Okay. The reason why I ask, guys, is you in the comment section get noticed. I see what you guys got going on here, and you are welcome. For Teddy and I'll take a little credit for talking you off the Chargers this week. Great call by Teddy early in the week saying you do not want to take the Chargers in this spot. Another Monday Night Football game. That is the Broncos play tonight versus the Bengals. They're headed to take on Dan Alexander's Eagles, and boy, oh boy, do the Eagles look good, Teddy. I used the Bucks plus 3.5 in my Super Contest play, and it was dead on arrival. That was until late in the fourth quarter where Baker Mayfield tried to make a run at it and unfortunately failed for my plus 3.5.
Yeah, I tapped the brakes on the Philly looking. Philly knows how to win games, but I tapped the brakes on Philly looking good. We'll talk about that in just a second. Look at line here, Philly minus 5.5, 43.5. My powering number going into Monday night, Philly minus 5. The market's right now sitting at 5.5 and 44 at the open. And yeah, I'm seeing 4.5s out there right now, as opposed to the 5.5s last night. We have seen already some Denver money, and the 44 is still pretty much sitting there. There are 43.5s and 44.5s out there. There's some variance. Philly yesterday had 31 points on 200 total yards. 200 yards. All right. They had a blocked punt touchdown for the first score. The second straight week they've scored on special teams TV. Remember the blocked field goal against the Rams? I do. Second half drives for Philadelphia. Let's see. 3 and out. This again, game on the line. All right. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Touchdown off a fumble, 25-yard drive. Hurts fumbled too, by the way, on that, but he went out of bounds. They had 1 first down, then punt, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out safety on the final play. Jalen Hurts in the second half, 0 for 8 passing, and Philly finished with minus 1 yard of offense. Now, that minus 1 is because they had that the weird play at the end of the game where they had the safety, but The offense has been really janky. All right. This is not an offense that's clicking on all cylinders. An offense that's working and then it's not working and then it's working and then it's not working. It's not a consistent offense. Philly, a little fat and happy. Their only loss in the last 365 days came to Washington in a game where Hurts left with a concussion in the first half. Hurts, it's a great team win, another gritty win. We know this has been a challenging environment. I'm proud of the way we competed. A lot we can improve on. It's always good to get a win out there. They don't come easy. The defense gave up 2 70-plus yard passing touchdowns on catch and runs. Lane Johnson, the right tackle, left in the third quarter. Jalen Carter on the defensive line left in the fourth. Injury concerns for Philly in the trenches, although certainly the Eagles more depth in the trenches than the average team. On Monday Night Football, if you like the Broncos tonight and think they're going to cover, maybe you put a parlay in. Denver this week, Denver next week. If Denver looks good, if Denver blows them out, this line will be shorter than the 4.5/5 that we're seeing on the OddsLogic live odds screen right now.
Teddy may disagree with me, but I would say both of these teams looked improved, at least over the last 24 hours. We got the Giants taking on the Saints here. Jackson Dart, was that just an anomaly there, Teddy? Rejuvenated team under new quarterback play. And then the Saints, I thought they were in a dogfight versus the Bills for a better part of that game. Granted, I wasn't focusing fully on that, but I may or may not have been cheering for a crazy outright upset of the Saints for survivor purposes. But overall, Spencer Rattler made some better plays. His receivers made some catches that they hadn't been doing previously in games.
So if you remember, we didn't want the Chargers last week because it was a very bad Charger spot. So let's not throw in that the Giants are suddenly great. The Saints played competitive football with Buffalo. And then at the end of the game, you look up at the scoreboard and they lose by double digits. All right. So, and that's as well as the Saints could play probably. So I tap the brakes on either one of these teams about to go on a run or something like that. Look ahead line, Giants -1.5, 43.5. My powering number, Giants -2. The market's opened 1.5/2, 42.5 last night. We are seeing Saints money right now. I'm seeing pick'ems. That's the leading indicator books right now. I'm not sure if anything's come out on Malik Neighbors this morning. Neighbors will affect the point spread. Neighbors not going to play, I don't think, but there was the concern that he tore his ACL. And if, the Giants' best playmaker ripped up his ACL, we could see some Saints. We're likely to see some Saints money. Look, the Chargers outgained the Giants 6 yards per play to 3.6. All right. Giants had 3.6 yards per play, and they won the game. Jackson Dart took 5 sacks. He threw for 111 yards. They only had 2 touchdowns and 5 red zone tries. The defense won the game for the G-men yesterday. Carter, Burns, Thibodeau, 20 pressures between them. That was, they were able to blow up the line of scrimmage against Herbert and company. Dart has a little hamstring injury that needs to be checked out. And he also got evaluated for a head injury. Russell Wilson came in and took a sack and then punted Brian Dable after the game. Quote, I know Dart is likely to be sore. I mean, he gutted it out. Son's a tough son of a you-know-what. He's tough, but I knew that. So, again, bad team off a win. That's the Giants here. The Saints fought. They were in the game. Third time in 4 weeks. They've been competitive. Their first 9 drives all ended in Bills territory. They had 189 rushing yards at 5.6 yards per carry against Buffalo. Kellen Moore, we put ourselves in position. I felt like we were competing. We're playing the right way. We just came up short. We didn't make enough plays when it matters most. But when you have 9 drives that end in Bills territory, they had 4 drives that started in Bills territory, and they came away with 2 field goals from those 4 drives. They had the punt, and then they had that Philly special that didn't exactly work real well for the Saints. They threw a pick in the end zone. Rattler, quote, it's frustrating because we're in these games. We just got to close them out. Of course, he's 0-10 as an NFL starter. So Cameron Jordan asked if he felt like the team bounced back after getting clobbered by the Seahawks. Quote, losing is not bouncing back. At the end of the day, it's the same feeling. We just got a way to get in the dub column. Golly. Of course, they had a roughing the punter penalty that doomed their chance of a late comeback. And no question, all right, if you're ranking NFL teams, and I do this every week in my power ratings, there's 3 teams that are right at the bottom. New Orleans, Tennessee, Carolina. That being said, I don't expect the Saints to go winless. This is the type of game that they could win, in theory.
All right, Teddy, 13 minutes ago, Ian Rappaport said Malik Neighbors does, in fact, have a torn ACL and he will be having surgery. So that is unfortunate for the Giants and for my fantasy team. But if you guys have been following me for a long time, you know, I got the KIV jinx. Doesn't matter. One of my best players. I had Brock Purdy too. Oh, and George Kittle. It is what it is. But I will say, and unfortunately for Dan Alexander, there's a new tweet out. The outside linebacker. I'm going to butcher his last name. Okonronko is also got a torn bicep and is going to be put on injured reserve and possibly done for the rest of the season. So keep an eye out. 2 injury reports early here on this Monday morning. That's what we do here on Opening Line Report. We're bringing you guys breaking information so that you can make solid choices in your wagers early in the week. Teddy, we've got 2,000 people watching us live right now. Please let them know what you've got over at WagerTalk.com. I know earlier in the show you mentioned you've got a play up for Monday Night Football as well.
Yeah, we're running pretty good right now. No question about it. 3-0 in the NFL yesterday, 5-2 All Sports Weekend. We won last weekend, a 6-1 All Sports Weekend. The only NFL loser I have over the last 2 weeks was the Rams against the Eagles when the blocked field goal got returned for a touchdown on the last play of the game. 5-1 NFL run. We're seeing things pretty clearly right now. That's why we do the work that we do, so we can make money on this freaking crazy league. I'm in play on Monday Night Football tonight. You can get my best bet as well as free plays. I got free plays on both of the games. So you can check out my video. Just visit my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, or just go to the website, WagerTalk.com. I always encourage you, if you're going to get on board, don't buy a play. You know, I expect to win my Monday Night Football play tonight. But if you want to get on board, let's partner up. All right, let's see if we can make some money together. The weekly packages. We got a great deal right now. If you buy 1 month, you get the second month for $3 a day. It's basically, 2 months for under $400. It's a good deal. Again, we got baseball, NBA playoffs, MLB playoffs start. We got NBA starting in October. This is a great time of year for bettors. I'm expecting to make you guys money. That's my job. So again, visit the website, WagerTalk.com. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC, for tonight's best bet winner and any potential packages if you want to get on board.
All right, Teddy. I know I am talking a lot of Survivor, so if you guys hate that in the comment section, let me know. But I'm going to keep it going because the Texans got it done for me. Nice win. Now, I will say, for the first 3 quarters, I was like, gosh, what a snooze fest of the game. How are the Texans going to lose this? And then all of a sudden, offense. I think we were both on the Chiefs last week. I could have swore that is why I wrote down the Chiefs early. I might have been wrong there, but the Baltimore Ravens here, look. Did Lamar quit? Is Lamar hurt? I think that there's a lot of rumors being spread right now on social media, and I don't have a real clear answer here. But I want to take the Baltimore Ravens here off a loss back at home, similar to what we saw week 2 versus the Browns. Is this the spot to use them in Survivor? Because I feel like this was one of those teams early in the year you wanted to save, and now I just want to play them, get a win, and not have to worry about this team the rest of the year. I think they're in shambles.
Yeah, there's no, and then there's hell no. I would not put any money on the Baltimore Ravens this week. I would not use them in Survivor. Listen, well, let me get there. But their injury report is a freaking nightmare. All right, it's a nightmare. Look ahead line here was Baltimore minus 9.5, 45.5 the total. My powering number with Lamar healthy is 4. Without Lamar, all right, with Cooper Rush, 1.5. Let me tell you about Baltimore's injuries. All right. We know Lamar's hurt. All right. The hamstring injury, and whether he's hurt or not, whether he quit on his team, like social media says, or not, doesn't matter. All right. Baltimore's allowed 37 or more points in all 3 losses. All right. The defense is missing 7 starters right now. Linebacker Roquan Smith got hurt yesterday. Marlon Humphrey got hurt yesterday. Nate Wiggins got hurt yesterday. They're already missing Matabuke. They're already missing Broderick Washington. Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, got hurt yesterday. This is a team that is, again, not like they have salary cap room, not like they have extraordinary depth. When you have to pay your quarterback like Lamar got paid, guess what? The depth isn't there. And then you have cluster injuries on the defense side of the football. Even last week before Kansas City, my wise guy friends were arguing. Baltimore is the best team in the league. Don't worry about their 1-2 record. Baltimore is the best team in the league. Right now, again, my power rating number is 4. The markets, you can still get 6.5 on this game. But my power ranking is 4 with Lamar. If Lamar plays in this game, this number will be higher than it is. Hill, quote, about the injuries. It's part of the game. I mean, not everything would be sunshine and rainbows. Last year, we started off slow. Remember, last year they started 0-2 and made the playoffs and went deep. So I don't think it's difficult. We just know what we need to do going forward to be in the place we want to be. It kind of just shows you the character of the team. Okay. I'm off market on my Baltimore power rating. So far, it's served me well. And that injury report is really problematic for a team that hasn't stopped anyone basically all year. And it's still being priced like a Super Bowl contender, even with the injuries. And the Texans, D'Amico Ryans, quote, when we go out and execute the right way, that's what it can look like. We've been there. We just haven't played clean football. Stroud only had 6 incomplete passes, 8.3 yards per pass attempt, no interceptions. Team had no turnovers. We think about teams that have rallied from behind and made things interesting, like Carolina did against Arizona, and then they bounced in the next week. They win 30-0. A team. This isn't a bad team off a win. This is a playoff team off a win. This ground game was there. Woody Marks had an impact in yesterday's ball game. But you're right about the fact that game was 6-0 into the fourth quarter against the worst team in the NFL. All right, against a team that couldn't move the football. Even though the end game numbers look really good for Houston, or pretty good for Houston offensively, in my mind, the win over Tennessee did not answer those offensive questions, and they didn't even get in the red zone until the fourth quarter against a bottom-tier defense. Good thing for them, they're facing another bottom-tier defense this week.
Speaking of bottom tier, that is who the Cardinals are facing this week in the Tennessee Titans. And that was who was on my long list, Teddy. I told you before the show, we got about 6 minutes where Teddy and I get a little rap, kind of go over some things. And he goes, I'm saving my answer for the show, Kelly. I said, come on, I got to play the Arizona Cardinals this week. I know everybody's going to play them. This one is probably the biggest favorite Arizona is going to be all year. Titans looked abysmal. Again, last week we said, Teddy, the only time the Titans looked good was against Denver their week 1, and they benefited from multiple turnovers from Bo Nix. The problem was Cam Ward's receivers couldn't catch a football. Seems like they still can't catch a football. They have lots of problems there in Tennessee. Tell me why. Your expression said it all. Tell me why on earth I should not be using the Arizona Cardinals this week.
Arizona is a problematic team right now. All right. They're coming off back-to-back walk-off losses on the last play of the game, both to division rivals. All right. It's, in theory, a get-right spot. It's also, in theory, a really flat spot for a team that isn't that good. This Cardinals offense has been stuck in the mud for extended stretches. 4 games, and in all 4 games, for at least a half, Arizona hasn't been able to move the football at all. So back-to-back 4 walk-off losses. Kyler Murray, 4.9 yards per pass attempt, 2 picks, 6 sacks. He led the team in rushing. Again, remember, no James Conner anymore. Trey Benson was a non-factor in that ballgame. Marvin Harrison, who made some plays in the fourth quarter, still has been problematic. Yards per play, they're outgained by 2 full yards per play at home against Seattle, only 4 yards per play. Jonathan Gannon, I appreciate the resiliency. That's there. No one has their head down. Everyone believes they can win, but we're not doing enough all 3 phases. Oh, by the way, all kinds of injuries. The cornerback, Will Johnson. Zay Jones is hurt. Offensive lineman, Will Hernandez is hurt. Defensive line, Darius Robinson got hurt in the second half of that ballgame. So it's not a confident team. It's not a particularly good team. They're getting out-yarded, outplayed. They're off back-to-back division losses. Get right spot? Maybe. I don't trust them. Do not. My powering number for the game, or look at line, Arizona -842. My powering number, Arizona -8. And yet the markets are at 9.5 right now. All right. Opened 40.5 last night. We're seeing 41.5 this morning. So we have seen some over money for this ball game. That being said, I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot more. There is some under juiced at some of the books that are leading indicators. But I mean, for Tennessee, you're right. Embarrassing offense. 4 games, they haven't gotten to 21 points in any of them. They were shut out here. 10 first downs. Didn't reach the red zone. Only 3.8 yards per play. Cam Ward, 10 of 26 for 108 yards. No touchdowns, 1 pick. He's been sacked 17 times already this season. The running backs, 16 of 60. 16 carries, 60 yards, not doing anything. Remember Calvin Ridley? He had 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. This year, the last 2 years. This year, after 4 games, he has 10 catches and 141 yards. Remember that mid comment, or we're mid right now, that Cam Ward said in the preseason? I remember it. Listen to this quote from Cam Ward. At this point, we have nothing to lose. We've dropped a quarter of our games. We have yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself. That's the same quote. That's saying we suck. So Tennessee does suck. They're 0-10 their last 10. Brian Callahan's 3-18. Each of the last 4 games, all 4 games this season, they've allowed an explosive touchdown run where the defense has been missing tackles everywhere. Jeffrey Simmons, quote, who's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's a veteran leader on the team. Quote, we're playing bad football. Simple. We're not playing good football right now. I'm tired of hearing the same thing coming to this locker room. I'm tired of saying it. We got to play better. Of course, they got kicker problems too. Joey Slye missed a 41-yard field goal and a 43-yard field goal. Can't be doing that when you're getting shut out. Tennessee is garbage, but they're garbage coming off a particularly bad win. Arizona is not a team I trust to lay a price with. And from a survivor standpoint, Tennessee's going to win one.
Yeah, they're going to win one, but I think we got to wait until after they fire Brian Callahan. I got it on my long list. There's a few things, and I could also mix up some of these plays. All right, Teddy, let's go into the Bucks versus the Seahawks. I mistakenly said something nice about the Bucks, so I'd like to take it back here. And I have not been that high on the Seattle Seahawks all year, but talk to me about the rest advantage here for the Seahawks. Also about the Bucks playing in 1-score games and what that means for the betting market.
I'm not sure that Thursday to Sunday rest advantage, it matters all that much. I mean, people talk about it a lot. Some of the talking heads are real intrigued with, they got extra time. If you look at the results, it's basically 50-50. So from a point spread standpoint, it doesn't matter all that much. Seattle, look ahead line, -1.5, total anywhere from 44.5 to 45.5. My powering number, Seattle -2. Last night, we saw 2.5s and 3s. And guess what? Ain't no 3s out there. Ain't no 2.5s out there this morning. They all got bet up. Now we're seeing Seahawks -3. We're seeing Seahawks -3 with juice. The wise guys didn't like Tampa last week. They don't like Tampa this week. And there is perhaps some urgency here. If you like Seattle, the 2.5s are gone. But if you like the Seahawks, I grab a -3 right now, especially we start talking about Tampa Bay's injury report. This is emergency betting alert worthy. Seahawks -3. You've missed already the 2.5s. They're out there for a little while, but this line could easily go to 3.5. I'm seeing 3.5s out there at a couple of books already, and 3 minus juice just about everywhere. Now, the Bucks allowed a blocked punt touchdown, then Mayfield threw an interception. The interception in the end zone cost them the game, but they were -2 turnovers, didn't force any. They went over 2 in the red zone. They allowed 3 touchdowns and 3 red zone tries. That being said, Mayfield has injured biceps. He had 2 great catch and runs at 77 and 72 yards, but other than those 2 big plays, Tampa's obviously didn't do anything. Todd Bowles, quote, obviously he's got to take better care of the ball. Baker be the first one to tell you that. The pick cost him the game. Mayfield, quote, we talked about starting fast and quite obviously did the opposite. You can't expect to beat a team of that caliber when you start slow like that. They did get Tristan Wirfs back at left tackle. They did get Chris Godwin back, but the injury report is pretty ugly. Mike Evans is hurt. Hassan Reddick is hurt. Jamal Dean, Benjamin Morrison, Greg Gaines, the defensive line, Rashad Wisdom in the secondary. All those guys got hurt in the second half of the game against Philly. That is a concern. And as for Seattle, I mean, there's things to like about this team. 155 yards rushing in Arizona. Sam Darnold's 2024 season really was not a mirage. This guy entered the NFL in 2018. He only had 1 previous season prior to last year with a quarterback QBR above 85. Last year, 102 QBR. This year, 106. 9.1 yards per play. He's only taken 6 sacks. 9.1 yards per pass attempt. He's only taken 6 sacks. He's only thrown 2 interceptions in 4 games. Coach McDonald, quote, Sam's playing out of his mind right now. You see him? He's such a cool customer. Again, they won the yards per play battle by 2 full yards against Seattle. Now, this is a quote that stood out to me. After the team blew a 2-touchdown lead, no time to prepare for the Thursday night games. They're on the road. They're facing hostility. You could easily lose that game. Jackson Smith-Njigba, quote, I had no doubt we were going to go down there and score, honestly. We just need to do one play, a couple plays. Jason's going to go down and seal the deal. That's exactly what he did with Jason Myers hitting the field goal. Only the Packers and Browns were allowing fewer yards per play going into last night than Seattle's 4.5. I didn't check this morning. I should have checked before I came on air, but I forgot. But Green Bay's defense got lit up last night. Seattle might be only behind Cleveland when it comes to yards per play, which is the metric we care about defensively. So, yeah, there's urgency if you like the Seahawks. Bet them sooner rather than later at -3. This number could easily go to 3.5.
Sure looks like it's headed in that direction. Teddy, let's talk about teams headed in different directions. Obviously, Joe Burrow is out for the rest of the season for the Bengals, so they have a lot of issues that they have to unpack. They do play my Denver Broncos tonight, but next week they face the Detroit Lions that certainly look like the best team right now in the NFC.
Yeah, so Joe Burrow, we don't know if he's out for the year.
Okay.
I know that Burrow's out, he's out indefinitely, but there's talk that he could be back in December or January if they make the postseason. Look headline here, Detroit -7.5, 49.5. My powering number, Detroit -7. The market's 8.5/9, 49. So it looks like I'm a little bit off market on Cincinnati because I've got Detroit like you right there with Philly as the best teams in the NFC. Lions have really been impressive the last couple of weeks. They held Cleveland to 3.8 yards per play. The offense has only gained 4.9 yards per play and 277 yards, but a punt return touchdown, one long touchdown drive. The rest of the game was mostly taking advantage of Brown's mistakes. Goff threw a pick. He had season lows in passing yards and completion percentage. Quote, we can be so much better. Remember, they scored 34 yesterday against the number 1 defense in the league. Quote, we can be so much better, especially offensively. Hayden Hutchinson's been a monster. He had a sack again and forced a fumble in that game. 10.5 sacks his last 9 games. Worth noting that Detroit lost a pair of cornerbacks in that game. DJ Reed cut off the field. Terry and Arnold hurt his shoulder. We'll see how Reed is going to miss some time. Arnold is a question mark. Obviously, Cincy plays Monday Night Football against Denver. If you like the Bengals tonight, make a parlay. If you like Cincy tonight, bet Cincy twice this weekend, next week. If you don't like Cincy tonight, bet against them twice. And in theory, you'll be getting the best of the number. But again, my number is a little bit shorter than the markets on this one. We'll see what Cincinnati looks like this evening as to how this line is likely to move moving forward.
Wow. Shout out to all of you guys. Almost 3,000 of you watching live. Again, we're here to give you guys the best of the information on a Monday morning to get you ready for NFL Week 5. Teddy, the Commanders, Marcus Mariota, looking okay. Maybe a little Jaden Daniels-esque. We'll call it ask. There was multiple times this year I was like, oh yeah, that's Marcus Mariota. Now they're headed to play the Los Angeles Chargers, which you told us last week, do not touch the Chargers with a 10-foot pole from this situational perspective. Great call by you. Is this a spot where maybe we need to be looking at the Chargers?
Boy, we appreciate you guys watching, 3,000 watching it live. I've been doing one form of the opening line report or another for the better part of the last 20 years, 20 football seasons. I've been in Vegas since 98. And with this, this is my best show. This is the show that I put all my effort, my most effort into. And I really appreciate all the support that it's getting. If you like the show, please hit that like button, comment below, tell us what you think, tell your friends about it. And when you watch live, you're going to get the emergency betting alerts when you can actually use them, which is a positive thing. Washington and the Chargers, look ahead line. And this was a look ahead line. I'm going to call it 348.5. Most books didn't post it because they didn't know if Daniels was going to play or not. So I wrote it in parentheses. The look ahead line that was out there was 348.5. My powering number with Mariota, Chargers 3.5. With Daniels, Chargers 2.5. The market's open 2.5/3, 47.5 last night. And we're seeing 2.5/3, 47.5 this morning. We're going to have to see what the injury report is. I'm expecting Daniels to play this time around. That being said, Mariota in 2025 looks better than I've seen him at any point in his career. He was drafted in 2015. The box score numbers don't look great. Only 155 passing yards, 123-yard scramble. But his passes were to the right guy and on target. No stupid throws, no devastating mistakes. And, of course, Washington ran for 6.7 yards per carry. The offense scored 27 and punted only twice. They didn't convert on third downs, but it was the defense. If you're going to say, why did Washington lose that ball game? Nothing to do with Marcus Mariota. The defense got gashed. Atlanta, 6.8 yards per play. Atlanta, 4 touchdowns on 6 red zone trips. The Falcons gained 15 or more yards on 10 different plays. Had a season-high 436 yards overall. Got to see what Daniels and, of course, McLaurin matters, too, for this offense for Washington. But they faced two good opposing offenses this year, and the defense has been let up both times. That could be problematic because the Chargers are a pretty good offense, and the Chargers are coming off a win. What did we say last week on the show? It was the mother of all flat spots for LAC. What was it? The mother of all flat spots for LAC. They were off 3 division wins in a row. They were facing a winless team 3,000 miles away in an early start game. And they played like it. Herbert, 2 picks, 2 sacks, only 5 yards per pass attempt. They had 14 penalties, only reached the red zone once. That being said, it was weird. They only had 13 carries for 152 yards for a team that wants to run the football in a game they never trailed by margin. Omarion Hampton was the only running back to have a carry. They outgained the Giants 6.0 yards per play to 3.6. But worth noting, impact, injury. Mickey Becton's already out on the offensive line. Joe Alt got carted off with an ankle injury. That's their 2 best linemen for a team that had OL concerns. The Giants' edge rushers combined for 20 pressures. And certainly if the LA's, and we'll check the injury report for the offensive line, but if the both tackles are hurt this week, it doesn't make me excited about laying the price here, whether Daniels or Mariota starts for the Commanders.
All right, Patriots at the Bills. We kind of talked about this just a little bit ago when we hit on the other 2 opponents. Are the Patriots making strides, Teddy? I'm not trying to say they're good. Are they making strides, or do they just play the Panthers?
Well, probably a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. The Patriots are making strides, but they also just played the Panthers. Look headline here, Buffalo -10, 48.5. My powering number, Buffalo -9. The markets, 7.5, 8.5, 9 last night. What are we seeing this morning? 7.5, 8.5, 9 out there. Note the 9s are a teaser protection. And I'm really not even seeing the 9. 7.5, 8, 8.5. The 9s are gone. There was a couple of 9s out there, not many. But we've seen some over money for this one from 49.5. I'm seeing 50s out there. And, again, anywhere between 7.5 and 8.5 for Buffalo. The Patriots had a box score that lied. They only had 306. They had 16 first downs, only 307 total yards. They were outgained in the game. But yards per play, 6.4 to 5.0 in New England's favor. No turnovers for either team. Drake May, 11.9 yards per pass attempt and only 3 incompletes. They had a punt return touchdown and a 61-yard punt return to set up another touchdown from Marcus Jones. After turning the ball over 5 times when they lost to Pittsburgh, they were turnover free and went 4-4 in the red zone. Mike Vrabel, when we don't beat ourselves and take care of the football, we can play complimentary football. It can look like something. That being said, they got Christian Gonzalez back. They made a season debut, but they lost Charles Woods and Carlton Davis and Jalen Hawkins, all from the secondary, which is a concern against Buffalo. And the Bills weren't sharp yesterday at all. Not a sharp game on either side of the football. They had 11 penalties. And when the dust cleared, they had 31 points on the scoreboard, all from the offense. They had a double-digit win. 4 straight games, they scored 30-plus. Josh Allen sacked 3 times, threw a pick. Still, 9.5 yards per pass attempt. Hit 7 different receivers. Bills 165 rushing yards on 5.2 yards per carry. The defense got gashed on the ground by New Orleans. New Orleans' first 9 drives all in Bills territory. 189 rushing yards allowed. And yet, still, Buffalo, yards per play, 6.2. New Orleans, 4.6. The Bills didn't play well and still won by doubles. And this is a divisional opponent on national TV. Josh Allen, quote, we weren't doing ourselves many favors. Bonehead penalties, bonehead mistakes. Throwing a pick doesn't help. So not like they were pleased with how they played in that game either.
And just like that, Teddy, the Chiefs are back to being road favorites. This is the one I circled last night. I go, what am I missing? As a Chiefs better yesterday, as a Jags better yesterday, what am I missing here? Talk to me about the Monday night football game, Kansas City headed to Jacksonville.
KC, look ahead line, -3, 44.5. My powering number, Chiefs -3.5. Markets open 3 and 45 last night. We're seeing 3s and 45.5 right now. We have seen some over money, and there could well be some urgency for some more over money. But this is why Kansas City's road favorite. Jacksonville played better, right? Well, the defense forced 4 turnovers in yesterday's game. They had 3 turnovers the week before, 3 turnovers the week before, 3 turnovers the week before that. So they are ready right now. We're 4 games into the season, and Jacksonville has 4 more takeaways than they had for the entire year last year. 13 takeaways, leads the NFL by margin through 4 weeks. So everything we're looking at with Jacksonville is the takeaways have mattered so far. We're zooming in on the Jags. With our telescope, we're going to go, the success for a 2-2 team is that they've been able to force turnovers. You're going to force turnovers in bunches against KC and against Patrick Mahomes. Good luck with that. Oh, by the way, injuries crushed this team yesterday. 8 starters or key reserves left the game at one point or another. Defensive end Trayvon Walker, safety Eric Murray did not return. Both those injuries could be impactful for that team. And of course, they only, Trevor Lawrence, 5.6 yards per pass attempts. They had no turnovers, no sacks, and the running game worked. Cam Little's missing field goals. They punted 5 times compared to only 2 for San Fran. Yards per play, Jacksonville 5.2, San Fran 6.2. It's all turnovers for the Jaguars right now. And we'll give them credit for a defense that didn't force them all the year before. But when you're living off turnover margin and you're playing Kansas City, not always easy to create that. And Xavier Worthy, by the way, all your Chiefs stats for the first 3 weeks, throw them out. They didn't have any weapons. Now they got a weapon. Xavier Worthy comes back, instant impact, leading receiver. The passing game worked. Mahomes throws for 270 and 4 touchdowns. Oh, yeah, Worthy with a leading rusher, too. Now, that's a problem with Isaiah Pacheco and the ghost of Kareem Hunt, essentially non-factors all season, but 4 and 4 on 4th downs. When Mahomes needs a play, Mahomes is, you need a play to win a game, Mahomes is your guy. More touchdown passes from Mahomes in this game yesterday than in his first 3 combined. First time all year, he's been better than 7 yards per pass attempt, 7.7 career, but 6.8 last year. The defense controlled the flow here as well. Mahomes, quote, "You've been making little mistakes here and there. That causes frustration. We've been learning from them. I'm proud of the guys from the way they responded, getting better every week." It was a little personal yesterday between Liam Cohen and Robert Saleh. This might be personal too, but the Jags are not the better of these 2 teams.
All right. And that is your opening line report for NFL. Week number 5, if you guys are going to hang out here. We got Wager Talk today coming up next. You guys get ready for that. Teddy, we got a few more minutes before we got to get out of here. Anything you would like to leave our audience with?
I said everything I got, Kel.
I know.
Check out the
rolled right through it.
I'm in play for Monday Night Football tonight. If you want to get the client play, just visit the page, wt.buzz/TC. Visit the website, wagertalk.com. $5 Tuesday tomorrow. We'll have MLB playoffs up for $5 Tuesday. And of course, follow me on X at Teddy_covers. Follow Kelly on X at Kelly in Vegas. And have yourself a great Monday. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Cheers.
We do. Thanks to almost 3,500 of you that tuned in to today's show. Again, hang around here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Of course, X at Wager Talk over there. If you guys are looking for more sports betting content, I believe Andy Lang is back from Bethpage. If not, Steve Merrill will be filling in for him on Wager Talk today. Yes, that is part of my job. And no, I did not double check. I hope you guys have a wonderful week betting. We'll see you guys next Monday morning.
standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk and walk in the week with a loaded lineup. Gianni The Greek is here with the Steam Report. Krackomberger going to bring a Monday Night Football prop. We're going to react to Week 4, go over where the books won, where the public won, go over some props and fantasy football winners and losers. And Steve Merrill is going to join us to talk Bengals, Broncos, along with MLB playoffs, including Red Sox and Yankees. If you're betting this week, this is where you get the sharpest edge. All right, that's our new intro for the show. Everybody did great submitting some really, really good intros. There were 2 that I really liked. The gold standard of sports betting shows was good, and then talk the talk and walk the walk. But there were a couple notables here, Dan. Somebody said, are you ready for Wager Talk? It's time to bang with Andy Lang. Thought it was a little...
It's the Wager Talk after hours. That's Wager Talk after hours.
It was a touch aggressive, but now Gus Stomper sent that one in. This one was funny. Welcome to Wager Talk today. Fade this guy. I got a kick out of that one. I got that one.
But like Gianni always says, follow or fade. Hope you cash him, don't trash him. I don't care if you're following or fading. You're watching, baby. Do whatever you want.
It's pretty good. And Mark Valdez had a great one. I kind of know Mark. It's as corny and great as it gets. Welcome to Wager Talk. You know what time it is. It's lock o'clock.
Oh God. I know some Twitter accounts that I'm sure would be really happy about that opening.
It's so funny. So funny. So anyway, thank you guys for all those submissions. They're great. We're going to go with the gold standard and talk the talk and walk the walk. But bang with Andy Lang is an absolute all-timer. So, all right, let's get started with Gianni to go over the Steam report. I saw you laugh. Bang with Andy Lang's pretty damn good. So, how are you on this Monday, Gianni?
Never better, man. We had a great steam room yesterday. Ended up going 10-2 in the NFL, 14-7 week in college football. It's just been amazing. I'm 3 units shy of being up 100 units already in the college football season. Already up 45 units through 3 weeks of the NFL regular season. It's just been that kind of year so far, and it's what I expected. Again, not to tout. But I'm working right now with the sharpest groups I've been with in a long time. And as far as the major sports go, NBA, college basketball, college football, NFL, baseball, I have so much confidence in working with them and being able to filter the information, because there's just so much I'm getting that just being able to filter through it, some things conflict. And so far so good, man. And it's September's barely, we're just out of September. So we still have October, November, December. Like, the best is still ahead. So I'm just really excited about what's coming up for us.
Nice. Let's talk Steam report. Let's see where the action is. We can start with Monday Night Football. It doesn't look like a whole lot of big line moves. It looks like the money that came in on Denver's probably already been in there. So what are you seeing for tonight?
Yeah, and it's a perfect example of just how tight the NFL betting market is, how difficult it is. And once they have some data under them, the books are extremely confident in their numbers, and you're not going to see big line movements. And that is the reflection of inefficiency. You want to look for markets where the lines are moving significantly. Again, that reflects an inefficient market. When they're tight like this, it makes it hard to beat. Here's what we're looking at with Miami. Miami's look ahead was -2.5. They went to 3 immediately. Back to 2.5, back to 3, back to 2.5, back to 3. So currently sitting at 2.5, juiced. Good two-way action. You would think it would be all one-sided Miami, but that's just not the case because you're looking at 2 0-3 teams. And more importantly, if you look at point differential, the Jets look to be even like they're better. The Jets are 0-3, but they're 2-1 against the spread. So they've outperformed the betting market. They only have a -14 point differential, even though they've lost 3 games. So, chalk up some bad luck, some turnovers, some penalties, and they could be a 1-2 team, a 2-1 team. Who knows? But Miami, they're -39 point differential in their 3 losses. So they have to figure some things out. And I think the market reflects that. Good two-way action on the total as well. Always a little heavier on the over, but nothing really sticking out. In the second game, Cincinnati and Denver, you touched on it. The look ahead on Denver was -6. That got hit immediately to 7. Since then, it's just been sitting at around 7, 7.5, and not getting much one-sided action. Another good balance for the books. That's why they haven't really had to make much adjustment. And you're looking at a 1-2 team in Denver that has a +4 point differential. So again, they're 1-2, but they have a positive point differential. On the flip side, you have a Cincinnati team that's 2-1 with a negative 33 point differential because they've gotten blown out in that one game. So two very different teams as far as how they've performed heading into this Monday Night Football, but it shows you what the power ratings reflect in the NFL, and that's why we're looking at Denver being such a heavy favorite. The record be damned, the Vegas doesn't care. We kind of saw that in college football where we could touch on that. You look at the rankings and you look at true power ratings, and they just don't reflect each other in a lot of spots. And you were able to take advantage of it, like Alabama on Saturday, where most power ratings had them not way above, but above Georgia. So yeah, I think this is a case of Monday Night Football where two teams trying to figure it out, with Miami and the Jets, no one confident in either. And then in the second game, a 1-2 team at home that's a touchdown favorite. Hard to get attracted to that. But then Cincinnati, again, not world beater either. So I think these are two good games for the books where I don't think they're going to have a need. I mean, they're always going to prefer one side over the other. But because we have to lay 11 to win 10, I think they're going to have good enough balance where regardless of outcome, throw in the teasers, throw in the parlays, throw on the negative EV shit, and they're going to end up turning a profit when the dust settles.
I see the line has already moved on Thursday Night Football. I'm assuming that's because of injuries and such to San Fran. And then there's a line that makes no sense to me on Sunday. I'll tell it to you after because I'm curious if you landed on this as well. So what are you seeing for the Week 5 lines?
Yeah, and another thing that, again, we got to touch on, pay attention to the look-aheads because it's going to look like a lot of times like it's a big line movement. But after the opener today, what they put up today, then pay attention to there after that, what it moves. And since that, we haven't seen, I mean, you expected Dallas because Dallas looked good yesterday. We haven't seen the Jets play yet tonight. So immediately you saw some Dallas money come in off of that look ahead. You saw Houston money come in, Baltimore being faded, which is a rarity, but they were almost a double-digit favorite. Now they're below that key number of 7 even at home against Houston and Seattle. Tampa Bay, Philly went right through them, and Tampa was actually getting public money and a lot of love yesterday, catching 3.5 points against Philadelphia. And you're seeing them getting faded again and Seattle getting some money. So no big movements, kind of what you expect in the NFL. But unless there's key injuries or cluster injuries, you're not going to see much line movement until later in the week when some of these totals get steamed.
It's that Baltimore line. I'm stunned by it. I'm stunned by it. You got Lamar Jackson who's pulled a hamstring. The defense is completely decimated with injuries. I mean, they're playing with backups.
Here's why.
They're playing with backups to the backups.
Right now, power rating wise, I think there may be 5 or 6 teams that would be favored over Baltimore on a neutral field. That's the key here. That it's kind of like I said, record be damned. They're dealing with it in college football with Notre Dame, where Notre Dame, power rating wise, they're a top 5 team, but they're a 2-2 football team still. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you're looking at with in the NFL too. Look at Kansas City. They're a 500 team. They're 2-2, and yet they'd be favored over 25 plus other NFL teams. And that's all going to play itself out as the season progresses, kind of like in college football. That will play itself out. And those phonies will, even though it isn't a big enough season to really get progression and regression towards the mean, there's enough time that those phony teams tend to fall off. And I think we'll see it in college football, and we'll see in NFL that, teams like Baltimore are better on paper right now than their record reflects, but they may catch up to it. Same thing we saw with Kansas City, and even look at Detroit. After week 1, everybody gave up on Detroit. Oh, they lost their offensive coordinator, lost their defensive coordinator. This team's done. Now, all of a sudden, they're number 1 power rated pretty much in most NFL, sharps power ratings. So it just shows you how things change NFL week to week. You just can't overreact. That's key, I think, that to have success in NFL, you can't overreact because of the short season and because of all the focus. Turn on TV, listen to sports radio. They're just going to talk about NFL. And, with all that analysis, again, that's what ends up happening.
That's why we do right after you, we do the overreactions from the
Yep.
weeks. And I remember week 1 was Detroit's done. they can't survive without their coordinators. Yep. Stick a fork in them. So it's funny. Great way to make money in the markets, though. Take advantage of the people overreacting. So you looking forward to MLB playoffs? Any plays you're looking at series wise or anything in there?
Yeah, I was ready to jump on Detroit right out of the gate. I thought they would be a higher favorite, even though they're on the road. I thought there was a lot of recency bias to that series. Cleveland, they've owned them. Cleveland has swept them in Detroit. They've had no problem with them. So I was hoping to get a little lower price than that. And I didn't bet it at -150. And now I'm looking at -160. So I'm kind of stuck sitting on my hands right there. And the other game that I liked was the Cubs. I like the Cubs at home in a coin flip. I'm hoping that line flips and you get enough San Diego love that maybe I could get the Cubs in game 1 as a dog. But those are the two that stuck out at me. I thought Detroit is a little bit undervalued in the series, and I thought San Diego is going to come in a little bit overvalued in their series with the Cubs. But still, I plan on breaking down the baseball a little deeper tonight.
All right. It's a great Monday. Tell everyone what you have up for clients at WagerTalk.
Indeed. Jump on board. The college football and NFL train's going to continue. We have a lot of season ahead. And today I'll have a package up for the Monday Night Football. Was just waiting to confirm to see whether I'm going to have a 2-pack or just a single play. Right now it looks like a single play. Should be up within the next 30 minutes. Let's just keep rolling, man. Manage your risk correctly, and we'll do some damage. Thanks for having me, and best of luck this week.
Gianni The Greek, everyone, is off to a fantastic start on the spreads and totals in college football and NFL. His plays are up at WagerTalk. All right, let's go ahead and do the overreactions. Dan, I was so happy we had a great one after Sunday Night Football. So we'll go ahead and do the overreactions. We'll talk about where the books won. We'll talk about where the public won. The week 4 we overreacted. I only got 4 of them. The Chiefs, it's amazing, Dan. 1 week the Chiefs are lost. They're dead to the world. Now all of a sudden they're back to being Super Bowl contenders. That's an obvious overreaction. I'm already seeing Cam Ward as a bust, even though we're 4 games in and he has one of the worst coaching situations I can remember for a rookie. The Saints won't win a game this season. I saw that one. What did they throw for 126 yards yesterday? And then the Packers are overrated. We're literally 2 weeks away from a talk of an undefeated season from the Packers. And now we've moved into the Packers are overrated. Now, you do have to question the mentality of a team that settles for a tie. Good Lord. All right, let's go to where the books won and where the public won. Where the books won big on the Bills minus the points, Washington, Atlanta, the under, and the Chargers minus the points. Those were big wins for the books. Public did, this Titans team is the ultimate fade wagon right now. Public's taking advantage. Texans minus the points was big. Buffalo and New Orleans under. Chargers and the Giants under, and the Rams minus the points. If you had Rams minus the points, thank your lucky stars. But I guess it's like karma for what happened in the Eagles game. But how the Colts not only did they not win that game, but they didn't cover is truly insanity. There was a long touchdown run that got called back from holding penalty, and then the poor guy drops the ball as he's entering the end zone. It goes out of the back. So just an absolutely crazy finish to that one. But Rams minus the points was big for the public. And let's go to props and fantasy football. Big winners and losers. We got a lot of winners. Kenneth Gainwell took advantage with Jaylen Warren being out. He had a big game. The Falcons rebounded. They finally looked back on track. Bijan, big game. Drake London, big game. James Cook continues to be arguably the best running back in fantasy, and props-wise, he's scoring. He's getting all the work. and they're not taking him off the field in big situations like they did last year. The Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked good. Stephon Diggs, we had a Stephon Diggs sighting, flies over any props totals that you had with him. Puka Nacua, arguably the best wide receiver in football, just taking into account all his quarterback situation. The guy's over 40 catches already. Travis Etienne cemented himself as by far the number one in Jacksonville. Patrick Mahomes looks back, and Ashton Genty had his breakout game. So big props winners. And the losers, Ladd McConkey. I don't know if he's number 3 right now, but he's performing like it. So Ladd McConkey unders continue to hit. Everybody on the Titans is just brutal. There's nothing they can do on offense right now. It's just a fantasy points wasteland, props, unders galore. And Brock Bowers is clearly not 100%, but until further notice, he's either a stay away or a fade. And I just don't know how much information we're going to be getting on how hurt he truly is, but does not pass the eye test at all. So bummer for Brock Bowers, especially on fantasy football teams. All right, let's bring in Crackman. Let's talk a Monday Night Football prop. Bill, happy Monday.
Hey.
How was your weekend?
Good. No, okay. Didn't win, didn't lose. Flipping hamburgers over here. You know, that's one of those weekends where you just that one game that you know, it's amazing. I don't even have a losing weekend really, and I'm still mad about certain things in the NFL. It's so hard to beat this NFL, guys. I talk about this all the time. You know, the Rams again, 2 weeks in a row. I don't want to know how much in total they cost me in 2 weeks. I had the Colts. So I had the Colts plus 3.5, and it's another terrible loss. Guy trying to celebrate me. I don't know, lifting up the ball. I got to tell you something. These guys, everything. You have teams losing by 30 points that are celebrating a tackle. Like, it's all about individual achievement. It's not about a team effort no more. There's no, Walter Payton's out there anymore. Just, hand the ball to the ref and go up and listen. Of course, you deserve accolades. You just got a touchdown and stuff. But I just sometimes there's just no common sense. There's no really. These guys are all about styling and profiling, and there's just no teamwork. Remember Al Capone and the De Niro role in Al Capone and the Untouchables with teamwork. He's walking around with a baseball bat. First guy in that teamwork got smashed in the head. I mean, can I defend the Colts wide receiver guy? He wasn't like high stepping into the end zone. Like he was just moving the ball from one hand to the other. He didn't drop it too soon. It wasn't as egregious as some of the other plays that we did. It wasn't as bad. Didn't he put the ball in the air like I'm number one? Like wasn't he just holding the ball?
Doesn't everybody kind of do that? It wasn't like Deshaun Jackson,
No, they don't. They scored a touchdown first, then do it. Yeah, no. The answer is no, Andy. They don't. I love you to death. But,
trying to defend my Colts guy. I felt bad for him. Felt terrible for him because
idiot.
Yeah, you're the one carrying the baseball bat this morning. I see.
No, and then someone just sends me this video too just now. Todd Furman, who I like, Todd with this video for this guy on a DraftKings show saying you should buy down the college game from 3.5 to 2.5 and lay $1.58 at DraftKings. First of all, who buys points in college football? Second of all, it's the money line's only like $1.70. Yeah, let's lay 2.5 instead of for $1.58. And third of all, the guy said, "Oh yeah, I think I recommend betting this." The guy probably never put a bet in his life, but he looks good on camera. I feel bad for the people out there that have to watch these talking heads on these sites talk about things, and they have no skin in the game. They don't know anything about the analytics of the game. They know nothing. All they know is they look good in a 42 long suit or whatever, and they just look good for the camera. This is men and females. I just can't take it because these poor kids, they love this stuff. They love this stuff, and they say, "Oh my God, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me buy the 2.5." First of all, there's no buying in college football, none on anything. Even in the NFL, I'll tell you right now, the buying is so expensive. Unless you have some shops that you could buy on or off of the 3 for an extra 15, or I'll go 20 cents, then there's no buying the NFL because the 3 and 7 is not worth what it was. I'm going off on rants here. But I just know because I've been doing this, Andy, professionally 30 years. I know the margins and how tight things are, and NFL, how efficient these markets are, and these people have nothing to talk about on air, so they just make up stuff and they say, "Oh, I'm going to bet this." Meanwhile, they got their own cemetery that they buried everybody in. I mean, it's terrible. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to come off a little salty this morning.
No, you're good. You're good. We got 2 games.
To be honest with you, having a great season. I mean, having an unbelievable college season, winning, making money. I got 2 games tonight. You're right. Go ahead. I'm going to stop talking. I just can't help it.
No, you're good. You're good. I want to do your prop, and then I got a hilarious photo to show you. It's right up your alley. You're gonna laugh your ass off when you see this photo. It's here. But what's your Monday Night Football prop for tonight? What do you like?
So I just went over to make sure the line's still the same. About 10 minutes ago, I'm sure it is. I just actually released it, but it's not going to move. Okay, J.K. Dobbins under rushing yards. It is 65.5. I'm looking at MGM. 65.5. So I think Denver's going to get these running backs more involved this week. So that under 65.5. And listen, I will tell you to get to it now because it will move. I'm going to talk about it on a couple shows today. So I'm sure it's going to go down a little bit. Dobbins under. And I'm going to have another one later on also, Andy, but for the people at WagerTalk. But there's a free one that, to be real blunt, now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot to bet it. I'm going to bet it, but I came in with a head full of steam about a couple subjects. But yeah, Dobbins under. I'm looking at BetMGM right now, which I'm probably going to bet right there. So I'm going to give you guys a minute or two, a couple minutes to bet that. Has not moved. Dobbins under 65.5. So yeah, and I'm going to bet a lot of these props. I release them to the customers first, though. I don't front run customers. I don't give out under 65.5 when I bet under 68.5. That I don't do. And I'm not one of these people that say, "Oh, you could bet this line at ESPN Bet, or you could bet it at a certain sports book." And I don't give out that. I give out an obtainable line. Andy, what was that comment just went by?
Sports betting is changing. Worst lately is the price hike on NFL teasers. Yeah, DraftKings doing minus 135.
Done. Then you can't bet it. You notice, guys, I haven't given out any teasers. Want to know why? I don't think it's fair to give out teasers to you guys. Now, if you're playing with a local, yes, I'm told the local guys in the software still have 6-point teasers at $1.20. But I'm dealing to a crowd that plays the DraftKings, FanDuels, and the big sports books of the world that are new to the United States here the last 7-8 years. And they're price gouging on these. DraftKings was great. They were minus $1.20. And they were getting a lot of action. I'm sure they were making a ton of money on it. But someone said, hey, we can make more if we charge $1.35. Let's charge double the juice. So they're charging 75% more juice, 80% more juice on that same bet. So I'm sure they'll beat all these kids up that don't care what they lay. They don't respect the line. They don't respect the market. 6-point teaser, I was betting even money for a decade. Even money teasers for a decade, literally. And then all of a sudden someone said it should be minus 110 for a 6-point teaser. Okay. Even minus 20 you can beat, but it cuts into the profits. Minus 135, unbeatable. Unbeatable. You cannot win betting 6-point teasers minus 135, going through the key numbers, it's unbeatable unless you're just a short-term guy. You win 2 and quit for the year or something like that. It's that hard.
Can I want to have this conversation with you because we got time today. I was just having this conversation with one of my betting partners. We're not having a good year. We are down units for the year, coming off of 2 incredible years. But this year, we're down. And I was saying to him, the prices have really made it tough to turn a profit now. Like some of these lines, I'm going to get to the Ryder Cup. I was out in New York. I went there. This is where I got this picture to show you.
I seen you on video yelling at one of the golfers.
Not me. I was in a suite.
Good.
But they had like 40-cent lines. It was like a head-to-head matchup, minus 120, minus 120. It was like it didn't used to be like this. Like even just a few years ago, it didn't used to be like this. But I look at some of these lines in UFC, and you're getting fights that should be pick'ems, and they're minus 200. And then these teasers now at minus 135, and now you throw the tax thing in there. And like, Bill, when is it enough? Like, at what point are we going to get to where everyone just says, this is not only is this not beatable, it's not even fun. Like how much money can you take from us and how much value can you take out of these lines? It's getting to be with these domestic books. It's not a fair fight.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'm not going to throw the book under the bus because they're very good to me and they're very good on a lot of lines and they offer a lot of different diversity and there's so many different things they offer. But I noticed they went to minus 115 on props this year on both sides. And I still have to terrorize the line manager. Say, why do you guys were 110 for years? And just because people don't really care what they like. That was his answer. I said, you're right. And I'm still going to play. I'm still betting into it. So you're right. Now, what you're referring to is in golf. Golf is used to be minus 110 on both sides of golf matchups and stuff. Are you saying
Don't I know it?
matchups are now 120 both sides? No way.
They were out in New York when I was in DraftKings. They opened up some matchups at 30-cent lines, and while we were watching in real time, they went to 35-cent lines and then 40-cent lines. Yes, that really happened. It was on singles on Sunday. It was crazy. And yeah, Chad, I love this comment. These corporations are greedier than the old school mob bookies ever were.
Listen, I'll tell you right now, Chad is spot on. Spot on. Mob guys know how to massage things, give you a little value for the mob. These corporations, man, I'll tell you, they just want to listen. You might be better off just having them use a mask and a gun. Just take the money, get it over with quicker. I mean, that's unbelievable. And you know what? It'll never stop, and it's only going to get worse. And you want to know why? Because they still get the volume they do. It's because we are so close to the sun here at WagerTalk and these type of shows. And these shows I do a dozen shows a week on different networks talking about smart advantage sports betting, responsible gambling, different things. We're too close to the sun. We represent a little fraction, so tiny you can't even see it on a radar screen, of the sports betting community. It's all these kids in college and these kids that are watching things on TV and they watch ESPN and they go through all these different media sources, murderers row, and then they just have no chance and they don't care, they don't respect, they just fire. So what we know from us being around and me being old school knockaround guy from 30 years ago betting sports with locals, I know what it is, and I know what it is to bet, even with the offshore world in the late 90s, early 2000s. I know what it was juice-wise and how they made lots of money, everyone was happy. And I've seen these new corporations come in and they use the excuses. They have to overcome these marketing expenses. They got to pay LeBron and all these guys $2 million, $5 million a year, and all these ads everywhere, stadiums everywhere. So they spend all this money on this stuff. And meanwhile, they already have the customer. Are you doing it for customer retention? Maybe. Branding? Maybe. I know one thing. Us bettors pay the price. We're the ones that pay in the end by paying. You're telling me about this golf juice. I mean, it's so tough to beat minus 110 lines, and now you want to go to 115, 118, and even 120. It's really, really frustrating that we have to put up with this stuff. But let me be blunt. I'm still going to beat it because I'm dealing with the sharpest syndicate guys in the world. I'm dealing with guys that have a better line than the sports books that you could play in. That's a perfect example. So now, I just went to go put a bet in, the Dobbins bet. I gave it out to all you guys, and I bet it after. I just bet it just now. So I go to put a bet in, and I admit it, I try to bet thousands and thousands of dollars. So they gave me $740. But I'm happy with the 740. I'm happy with that. But perfect example is if that was such a efficient market, the prop market, then they would take what they would take on an NFL game, which is, 25, 50, 100 times, or whatever you can carry in your backpack, I like to say, at the counter or on the app. So I know I'm still going to beat it, even minus 115 both ways on props. I'm still going to beat it because I'm dealing with guys that are better at putting up the lines than the bookmakers themselves. Matter of fact, they couldn't pay them enough. These companies that run the bookmaking shops, What do you think they pay their risk department? Honestly, it's embarrassing. They should pay them a lot more. It's embarrassing. The offshore bookmakers in the late 90s, early 2000s were making double the guys in risk than the legal companies are today over in Jersey and where they have these here at DraftKings too. They have their office here, the risk office here. They deserve to get paid more. There's a lot of responsibility on their shoulders of a public company. So I'm just telling you, we're too close to the sun here. Like I said, we're a very small fraction of what goes on out there. But I'm still going to beat it. And the guys I'm dealing with, we're still going to overcome the juice and stuff. But it does hurt. You start shaking your head and say, wow, what has happened? Like you said, you're having a losing year this year. But what people don't realize out there is mathematically, if you're a lifetime winning, you had a couple of good winning years in a row, mathematically, someone that's losing, if they're evolving and using the same formulas and models, they are still that lifetime 57% capper. If they're handicapping at 51%, well, then guess what? They're going to return to the mean, and now's the time to jump on them. So if that makes any sense for you guys.
No, it does. I appreciate that. Confidence is still there in the reads and stuff. It's just like we got robbed on a fight last week. We lost on Contender Series, and even Dana White gets up there and is like, "Yeah, the judges got it wrong." Well, the announcer's like, "Yeah, judges got it wrong." Like just stuff like that. But I want to show you this picture. I want to show you this picture before I let you go. All right, so bucket list here, Bill. I got invited to the Ryder Cup, and we had a suite. Okay. This is the suite that was next to the one I was in, the DraftKings VIP Clubhouse. How much money are you down in your DraftKings account to get invited to the VIP suite at the Ryder Cup?
Oh, okay. I don't see it. Was a picture was a photo supposed to be on there?
Yeah. This is a picture of the DraftKings VIP Clubhouse.
All right, I guess
at the Ryder Cup.
My scenes, I might not have my screen set up. It's just orange to me. So,
that's all right. That's all right. Everyone else can see it. So, how much do you have to be down to get invited to that?
Oh yeah. No, you're in big money to get. They listen. They take care of their VIPs for sure. The guys in there are willing to lose, $500,000, $1 million a year. You're going to get invited to Super Bowl suites like that. And that was really cool, and that stuff's unbelievable.
There's a guy that oversees everything in Indiana. Like if you have issues with your account, you reach out to him. I texted him. I was like, "Why wasn't I invited?" He's like, I was like, never mind. I know I'm not invited. So, all right, Bill, what do you have up for everybody on this Monday?
Yeah. So over at WagerTalk, I just pulled it up. Good season here. 62%, 32 unit profit so far. We have a 4% play. These 4% plays are 4-1 plus 11.2. It's a rare. We have a rare one up there today. And join us over at WagerTalk. Again, go in for the weekly or the monthly package. That's what you want to do. Long term, you'll see the value there.
All right, thank you, Bill. Great segment today. Bill Crackman, everybody, always a pleasure. So, all right, only one play that is up for us. We just got done talking about how tough it is to win. We won last night big. We had 2 props in the Sunday night game. Did absolutely fantastic. So, had a couple frustrating losses earlier in the day, but we capped off the night with big win, and we only have one play tonight that is up. Grab that Monday Night Football play, best bet. It's a prop. It's only $15. We're up 50 units last 365 days in props. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do. Number one at WagerTalk in props last year. So, and this year's been pretty good. Football, we're around that 55, 56%. So we've kind of been treading water, but one good play. Join us, cash with us. Really, really love the prop. I think it's mispriced. I think there's a few things that the books are not taking into account with the game script. So one play, one winner tonight, wt.buzz/AL. All right, let's bring in Steve Merrill. Steve, we're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some Monday Night Football. But first, we did our overreactions for the week here. So I'm curious which ones you like the best. Just 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs were written off. They're done. Now they're all of a sudden back to Super Bowl contenders. That's an overreaction. For 4 weeks in, Cam Ward is a bust. I've seen that start to pop up. I've seen Saints aren't going to win a game this season. They were particularly atrocious on offense yesterday. And then the Packers were 2 weeks removed, Steve. Don't forget, 2 weeks removed from can the Packers go undefeated, to now the Packers are overrated because they lost to the Browns, and then they tied. Which one is your favorite overreaction?
Yeah, I mean, it's still the Packers. We've talked about them a lot each week. It's amazing. They blew a 10-0 lead, dominated most of the game in what was one of the worst scheduling spots ever, as I've talked about numerous times here on the channel. It's one of the reasons we had a best bet on the Browns. One of the reasons I told everybody in my Fade the Public video last week, do not use the Packers in your survivor picks. Do not use them in teasers. And that was the same advice I gave to people this week with the LA Chargers, the Giants. I didn't use the Giants. I wasn't bold enough. Too much uncertainty with the new quarterback. But I told people this is another terrible scheduling spot for the Chargers. And the reason I actually didn't play against the Chargers is I really like them this year. And I still like the Packers. I liked them last night. And they ended up tying still. And that was with a blocked extra point returned. Otherwise, they win the game in regulation, most likely. So that's an overreaction. As far as Cam Ward goes, I wasn't expecting a lot from him. He wasn't the best player in the draft, but because everyone has to take a quarterback, you're always chasing your tail. We saw the Browns do it for decades. He's on a bad team, and he could be a good quarterback. We'll never know until maybe he goes somewhere else if they don't ruin him in the meantime. And then the Saints were expected to be the worst team coming into the NFL. They will win a couple games. They'll win 2 or 3 most likely, so that's probably an overreaction. They're not going to go winless. But, yeah, it's amazing to me, Andy, how the Packers and the Commanders, let's not forget, not my Washington Commanders. That was the NFC Championship preview a couple Thursday nights ago. I didn't feel that way. In fact, I really liked the Falcons yesterday. I gave that free to everybody in the Fade the Public video. And you know I love to fade those public dogs. I thought Atlanta was a really good spot coming off the shutout loss. Do the Titans, do we dare back? We don't bear back. We dare back the Titans off the shutout. Look at that, Andy Lang. What are the odds of me saying that on live TV?
Well, we debuted a new open for the show. I asked people to give suggestions, and one of the suggestions was, welcome to WagerTalk. It's time to bang with Andy Lang.
Wow. And they can use the little that's one of my favorite emojis, by the way, because I do reply back to all the comments, is, I love the little, if you type in boom, it gives you that whenever we cash. I love putting boom with the money sign or the happy face with the dollar bill mouth. Yeah, the Titans have been getting barebacked all season, so it was an appropriate comment in hindsight.
That's all right.
Don't clip that. Don't clip that. This is a family show.
Let's talk Bengals and Broncos tonight. What do you got on this game? This is an interesting one. You got Jake Browning. What's your read on this game?
Good for the NFL doing 2 Monday night games. They're doing this quite often. It's like every other week. I don't know what the game plan is, but I looked at the schedule for October. We have a few more of these double headers. And they got it right. We got the 0-6 combined Jets and Dolphins leading us off with the 1-2 and 2-1 Bengals and Broncos. So combined, the 4 teams tonight, I think, are 3-9 straight up if my math is right. So maybe the experiment's not working. But I like this concept. I don't like the European games, but I do like the 9:30 a.m., the nighttime game. Let's spread it out. Why not? Why have 7 games at 1 o'clock Eastern nowadays? It's becoming more spread out. What I will say, though, is if you say who's 2-1 and who's 1-2, everybody would jump and say the Broncos are the 2-1 team because they are the better team, and they're more than a touchdown favorite for that reason. So it's Green Bay or pass. Denver or pass. Just like last night, it was Green Bay or pass because I wanted nothing to do with the Cowboys, but that line was inflated, and it did make a difference. Dallas didn't win, but they covered. And I say it's the same thing here tonight once again. I don't want anything to do with the Bengals. As you mentioned, Browning is starting. Burrow is out for several months. What was it, toe surgery, I believe. And Browning didn't look too good. He's a third-year quarterback out of University of Washington. Now that teams have a little time to prepare, I don't expect much from him. But do we really want to lay 7.5 in this game? I could see the Broncos winning by exactly 7. It's a key number. I did mention this in my video for this. And by the way, I did a standalone 2-for-1 special, a deep dive into the Jets, Dolphins, and this Cincinnati-Denver game. So check that out after the show here. It's on WagerTalk TV from a few days ago. I did mention I thought the Broncos make a nice teaser selection tonight, a 6-point teaser, taking them down to 1.5, puts them in a pretty much straight-up win situation. Now, obviously, we have no games left from yesterday to tie that up with if you watched that video earlier in the weekend, as you should have. But now we can look ahead to next week's games. I haven't talked about this anywhere. Some games that maybe qualify as decent teasers. Jets right now getting about 2 points at home against the Cowboys. Cowboys have not stopped anybody this year defensively, and they're coming off a tough game last night, as we've talked about. Jets up to +8, probably make a decent teaser. That's off the board in many spots. My guess would be quarterback situation there. A lot of 9.5s, so we'll see if those come down lower this week. And also the Lions right now, about an 8.5-point favorite at Cincinnati, who plays tonight, of course. And also Buffalo on Sunday night, an 8-point home favorite against the Patriots, who had a blowout win. That was actually my free play of the day yesterday at WagerTalk.com. So Broncos in a teaser tonight, and now that we're looking ahead to next week, those are some teams you could tie it up with. Oh, by the way, real quick, Andy, last year, first year with Bo Nix, the Broncos were a perfect 8-0 straight up and against the spread as a favorite last year. They won but failed to cover-ish by 8 in that opener this year against Tennessee. And then technically they lost as a 1-point favorite against your Indianapolis Colts. But otherwise, they've been winning by margin. I think 8 of those 9 games have been by 8 points. Or actually, every win's by been 8 points or more. And 8 of the 9 have been by double digits, or 8 of the 10, whatever it is now. They've been a really good favorite. So once again, Broncos are past, but a teaser is probably the best option.
Let's move to MLB here. We got playoffs coming up. Of course, the Red Sox and the Yankees, the rivalries. What's your take on MLB playoffs and in particular those teams? I believe the Red Sox are about 5 games behind the Yankees at this point. So what are you looking at in the playoffs here?
It's just always amazing to me, right, that they play 162 games, which is twice as many as hockey plays or the NBA plays. And then they have these quick little, 3-5, whatever game series. They get to 7-game series. It's kind of crazy. And then these are 2 teams that had to play hard through the final day of the season. I mean, Yankees entered the 3-game series this weekend dead even with Toronto for the division title. The Red Sox entered Friday night the 3-game series this weekend, 1 game up for the wild card. You had the Tigers and Guardians tied for the division, maybe on the outside looking in for the wild card heading into the weekend. After 159 games, it's just amazing to me how tight it becomes. And it's a shame we can't maybe come up with a little bit of a better concept. But the Yankees enter red hot. 9-1 their last 10, 22-8 their last 30. And keep in mind, this is a team that was playing 500 baseball for a couple months before that. Red Sox 17-13 their last 30, 6-4 their last 10. Found their way in though. 2 teams that are really good against lefties, and I bring that up because on the surface they both have good left-handed pitchers going tomorrow night on Tuesday with Crochet and Fried. Totals at 7 though, and that's such a key number, and it's juiced a little bit to the over. At 7 or less, I think we might see more runs than expected. And yes, starting pitching is the key to the playoffs, but both of these offenses are more than capable. And if you look at some of these pitchers in recent years, I don't think Crochet's come out of the bullpen until about a year ago with the White Sox. He became a starter. He's a guy to be careful with. He's never pitched this late in the season as a starter, this many innings. He's had a nice season, but I wouldn't be shocked if he wears down at some point. And I do think the Red Sox overall in this series hold the pitching edge, or the Yankees hold the offensive edge. So it's probably pretty important that Boston gets game 1. Odds makers are saying that's not as likely, though. They're about $1.20 dog. Yankees right now about $1.35 favorite. Should be a great series, and it is cool to see these 2 teams play in the playoffs.
Steve Merrill, were you on that Colts-Rams game by any chance?
I haven't been on either Rams game the last 2 weeks, luckily, so that's fine with me.
All right, so Bill and I got into an argument. I didn't think the guy dropping the ball going into the end zone and the ball, I didn't think it was that egregious. Yeah, it was a mistake, but it wasn't like he was doing some crazy dance or celebration. Like, it wasn't like, Deshaun Jackson, like dropping the ball and stuff. Bill says, no, he's a moron. Where do you stand on it?
It's funny. I saw the William Mary head coach was talking about this at the college level, because a guy got a celebration penalty the other week because he flipped the ball right away and then went to the crowd in the end zone. And he's saying what they teach the players is to bring the ball to the official. This is at the college level. So that is a good way to prevent that from ever happening, I guess, unless you literally fumble. That's a different story. But, yeah, I mean, it's just like run to the official. What would happen, Andy, in the NFL if you run up to the official and you spike it right in front of him? That would be very interesting. I mean, you're allowed to spike it in the NFL. Would that be taunting? Can you taunt the official? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you can taunt the official. No, I don't know. Someone needs to explain how, if a guy flips the ball and it's not in the right area, or if he flips it towards a player, that's a penalty. But if there's an interception, the entire defense can sprint the entire length of the field, get in a pose in the end zone, and that's perfectly fine. I don't understand why one is a 15-yard penalty is a backbreaker.
Yeah, as you know, I grew up as a huge Redskin fan in the early 80s during their Super Bowl era. And as you probably recall, the Fun Bunch came around Super Bowl 17, Super Bowl 18. And for those viewers that are under 40, they probably don't ever know about it. But Google the Fun Bunch, Redskins, Super Bowls, whatever. they would form a circle. They do the swing that, the high five, which was it wasn't Shawnee the other team, and it was cool. They dropped the ball. I mean, it was awesome. They had the Smurfs. So I've grown up with that, just loving a good celebration. And the college football stuff's the worst. Like, they're allowed to shoulder bump, but if they hug, I think it's a penalty. So that's why they all do this shoulder bump. It's like, hey, look, we have a play clock, right, for a reason. So if it's milking it, delay of game. If you're getting in a guy's face and doing that, maybe. But even that, like, I don't care. It's like the Mutombo thing got outlawed, right? It's like, who cares? He's waving his finger. It's like, what's the problem?
Of all the things in the game, like, really, that's like who? Exactly. By the way, who's against celebrations? what fan at home is like?
I know. Is it? And it's what's funny is like arena football, the lesser leagues, they embrace betting, they embrace celebration, because they need to. So these high and toddy big time leagues like the NCAA and the NFL are too good for fun. The NFL, the not for fun league, right?
The not for fun league. They should do it. Award somebody for the best dance of the week, the best celebration.
And what do they always show on the highlight reels? They score and they do a creative, like the dice roll with the football is one of my favorites. They show it all the time, so it kind of tells you that people want to see it, right? If it's on the highlight.
Absolutely, Chad Johnson. Everybody's seen Chad Johnson celebrations. Oh well. All right, Steve. What do you have up for everybody on Monday?
So Monday's kind of quiet time, right? Because baseball playoffs start tomorrow. We got the 2 Monday night football games, but I've got 2 advanced NFL best bets. First time I've done this all year for next week. I love these 2 games. I think the lines will move, so get them early. And it's also the last chance, I believe, tonight on Monday to get the 1-year all-access instant $811 discount. That works down to $3 a day, about $1 a play for every football, baseball, basketball, college, and pro best bet I release for the next 365 days and nights. And, if that's not good enough, a bonus 25% coupon that you can use every day for anything else you buy for the next 365 days and nights. Now, look, you're going to get every football, baseball, basketball best bet I release. But how about one of Andy Lang's golf best bets, one of his props in the NFL, basketball, and baseball, 25% instant discount, MMA, anything else you want to buy for the next year. It's a fantastic special. It expires tonight. There's no promo code needed. Check it out, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker, WT.buzz/SM.
Steve Merrill, great work. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Steve Merrill, everyone, over at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's do all around the world. Get a couple free props here for everyone. So, Jets and the Dolphins. I like Braylon Allen over 19.5 rushing. This opened at 17.5. It's already moved up 2. I haven't made this an official client play, and I think it's just because I got a small sample size. But this Jets and Dolphins teams, they're bad against the run. And I just feel like the Jets and the Dolphins are going to run a lot. I like Braylon Allen over 19.5. He wasn't used a whole lot in the first 2 weeks, but he got over this total last week. And I think it's just going to be a lot of running from Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Justin Fields included. So Braylon Allen over 19.5. You could also look at Ollie Gordon from Miami. I think he had 9 carries last week. He flew over his total. So I would look at running plays in the Jets and Dolphins. And then Bengals and Broncos. Here's another rushing prop. Bo Nix over 5.5 rush attempts. He has 19 rush attempts this year. 2 games, he's had 8. Don't forget, kneel downs are included as rush attempts. So if they're up and he's last on the field, you could get a sneaky couple of attempts. But yeah, I like this. But I like Bo Nix to get over the rush attempts. Last time he played Cincinnati, he had 7 for 31 yards. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Great Monday show. My best bet for tonight is a prop. Of course, it's a prop. It's all I play in the NFL. I think it's the most beatable lines. So our best bet is up tonight, coming off a really nice 2-0 night in Sunday Night Football. Cash 2 props on Jordan Love. This is another quarterback prop tonight. So join me for another winner at Monday Night Football. We're 2-1 on Monday Night Football, so hoping to move this to 3-1. Should be a great night of football, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. It's $5 Tuesday. Hit the like button and make sure you leave us a comment on the way out. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, what are you doing? We're almost at 220,000 people that are subscribed to the channel. You get notified on all breakdown videos, all of these shows when they start live. And don't forget, WagerTalk YouTube Insiders, WT.buzz/insiders. It's only $2.99 a month. You get a $5 coupon at the beginning of each month, along with some really cool special content. Thanks for joining.